What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode 109 for your Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. I am your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by the one and only, and as I said in the sound check, the king of the Yellow Jackets, the Solomons. What's going on, brother?
Oh, you have to be very funny about this, don't you?
No, I feel genuinely bad for you, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
I am deathly afraid of bees, as I was telling him in the sound check. I can't stand bees, man. If there's a bee in my vicinity, man, I'm up and gone. Can't stand it.
Well, I mean, as we were talking about, technically it's a wasp, but you know, they certainly look like very angry little bees that have invaded the apartment here. So it was quite the ordeal this weekend for me. I think I posted some video that some people saw and they were mortified by. No more mortified than I was having to experience it, I assure you.
I mean, I guess the Forbidden Door was really open, huh?
I was dealing with a forbidden door, all right. I didn't care to open this door.
No.
That's what I was dealing with, and it's better now. We're not out of the woods yet. There's still some residual ones, but I literally had an exterminator here that was in a giant. Again, it looked like a bee suit is basically what it was. Because you got to be very delicate when you treat this problem. They're very aggressive, and they will sting you. So I haven't been stung yet. If I was, I would be sitting here. You would see my little antenna and everything. I haven't turned into Wasp Man yet, but isn't that like a Marvel superhero?
The Wasp?
They have like
something like that. Yeah,
I thought they did actually. Yeah, that may be me soon. So,
well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. We hope that you get rid of that situation very, very quickly because that's a nightmarish situation for me, man. I'd be out of the house. I'd probably burn the whole fucking house down if that was me.
If I had a flamethrower, I would have used it. I would have been very tempted to use it.
You'd be like fucking Doom guy over there, man. Just fucking burning everything in sight.
That's it. And just start from scratch. Just start all over again.
Oh, man. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Tuesday night, man. We're going to get into a lot of stuff tonight. Forbidden Door happened on Sunday. It is now closed until next week, maybe until we see Tomohiro Ishii on Collision. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, it's open every week.
It's open every week with this guy.
It's not like it's an annual thing. I mean, the Forbidden Door is open every week. It's kind of redundant at this point.
So we'll go over that. We'll talk about some of the key points coming out of Sunday's 5-hour pay-per-view. We have a PLE on this coming Sunday, Clash in Paris. We'll go over that, preview and predictions. As of right now, there's only 5 matches on the show. I feel like they don't really care going into this because they got their big WrestlePalooza show, which we'll also talk about on ESPN. It effectively ends their Peacock PLE agreement, so we'll definitely go over that. We'll talk about the comments that Jake Hager made with Chris Van Vliet today. We will talk about the Raja Jackson incidents at KnokX Academy, Rikishi's promotion. We'll definitely go over that. I know Jason hasn't talked about that on stream yet, so it'll be interesting to see what he thinks about the nonsense that was that incident this weekend. Just deplorable actions by a lot of people. So we'll definitely get into that. And we got some other minor news and notes, injury updates on Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. AEW will be without them for the foreseeable future. Lots to get into tonight. We thank you very much for joining us here. Super chats are open. You guys know what to do there. Get them on in. It's the best way to support what we do. We'll hang out at the end of the show, as always. Super chats, likes. That's another great way to do the support. Likes, hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes is always the goal. Great if you guys can do that for us. Leave a comment down below. Comments also help us out in the YouTube algorithm. That's where we like to be. And if you guys need anything as far as where we are, where you can find us, I didn't put it in the description because YouTube was fucking absolutely glitching out on me. I couldn't even load my own channel. I'll get that, but normally that's in the description down below. You guys can go find Jason and everything that he does down in the description of this very video. All right, man. Where are we going? What do you want to talk about?
Let's start with AEW. How about that? We were just talking about the Forbidden Door, so why don't we swing that bad boy back open and dive into that first?
Can I close it for good? Can we just shut it and just never walk through it again?
Well, I mean, you could close it, but I mean, it's just going to reopen, in a year anyway. So, not a whole lot you can do about it. It's just like a portal, it'll just sort of open up One day it'll just swell open and it'll suck you right in.
Well, I'll give them some credit. I spoke about this with Jesse. I mentioned it with Jason in the sound check. I wasn't a big fan of this show. I have kind of just lost my love for the Forbidden Door. I've lost my excitement. I've been to a couple of Forbidden Doors, one with Jesse, actually, when I was in Chicago for that one particular year. I thought the concept was a really, really unique concept because we were coming out of a WWE Vince McMahon era where he never worked with any other promotion. So it was great to see AEW partner with New Japan and other promotions and welcome, all walks of life into AEW. So it was a refreshing just concept at the time. And now with the New Japan product not being where it should be, and it's really down right now, and AEW, in my opinion, is down. There's not much excitement going on there. You mix those two things together, it doesn't really make for an exciting show. So I guess I'll start there, Jason. What did you think of the overall show for 5 hours on Forbidden Door? Because for me, outside the MJF, Adam Page stuff, and maybe some spots in the steel cage match at the end of the night, plus that O2 crowd, which was great, Copeland and Christian also, there wasn't really much that I liked about Forbidden Door.
It was definitely the weakest of all the Forbidden Doors they've done just based on the concept. It felt like the majority of the matches were AEW talent against AEW talent, with some New Japan stars sprinkled in here and there. They had Kyle Fletcher defending against Hiromu, and they had Tanahashi as part of the cage match. It didn't feel like a Forbidden Door show. It felt like the bloom is off the rose with that, even though they put 19,000 people in the O2. So the shows still do very well. I know Tony Khan loves to do them. Part of the problem, it's twofold, really. Number one, the timing was different this year. Normally, we get the show in June. We got it in August, right at the tail end of the G1. So we had hardly any New Japan talent even appearing on television until the week of. And then also, the New Japan product right now is cold. It's ice cold. And that hurts also because it's a cold product. And the Forbidden Door, when it started 3 years ago, it was a great novelty. It was something that we were not used to seeing, having this big inter-promotional, pay-per-view between a New Japan that was at least stronger than it is today and AEW, which was also, pretty hot at that point. And it's just not like that anymore. So as with something, when it has a novelty to it, it does wear off after a while, unless you change it up in some way. And what they've done is they have some CMLL talent and they have some Stardom talent, but not a lot. It doesn't really offset what we no longer have with New Japan. And also, most of the big New Japan names that we've seen on these shows before are on the AEW roster now.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Tony bought out most of the talent that was working there, brought them over here to work for him. And what type of Forbidden Door is it really? There is no more.
Well, look, a lot of those talents, if they didn't go to Tony, they would have gone to work for WWE. So, it's not like he, broke in the back door and, kidnapped them. But, yeah, they left. They left and they went elsewhere. Okada and, Naito's not there anymore and so on and so forth. And Tanahashi, they're not going to have him in a few months either. So you put all that together, it's just not as exciting as it used to be. There were matches on the show, a lot of matches on the show, that range from good to very good. So this is kind of a regular thing with the AEW product where it's pretty reliable that you're going to get some really good in-ring action. And if that's the only thing you're interested in is just as many really good matches, one right after the other, as you can possibly stomach for one night, then you were probably pretty pleased with this show. But I just feel like, there has to be something different about it, or maybe there's some interesting stories going into the show. Storyline and angle-wise, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about here on this show. It really was carried by the strength of some of the matches. I don't think there was a match on this show better than the World Championship match between Hangman and MJF. That was my favorite match of the night, even with some of the ridiculous
overbooked as hell. But yeah, I agree. It was my favorite match too.
Yeah, even despite all that nonsense, it was still, I thought, the best match on the show. So I don't want to sit here and say that everything else sucked. It didn't suck. It's just when you look at this show, 4.5 hours when it was over, I'm like, if I had to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, and I dare sit here and call it a 6.5 or something, I get raked over the coals. But that's what it was. That's how it is.
How dare you?
Oh my God, and he's fed pilled and like all these stupid dumbass comments. So, but that's what it was. It was a solid show. AEW typically will give you pay-per-views that are home runs. They usually hit home runs with these things. So it wasn't a terrible show, but it was not one of their stronger shows of the year. I didn't, have that same excitement for it that I've had some of their other shows.
Now, Jesse and I talked about it in length. It's to a point where, the AEW fan base can't use the fact that it's great pro wrestling or it's a great pro wrestling match. Like we just said, like Jason said, it's something that is just common nature with these people. It just happens every week. There's great pro wrestlers. There's great pro wrestling every week on AEW television. If you're not giving me story and you're not giving me a reason to care coming in, and then even more important, a reason to care coming out, then I have no interest. Like, we are well beyond just great pro wrestling. We could get great pro wrestling in a multitude of ways nowadays in 2025. There's pro wrestling on 7 days a week. I need something more to give me that excitement and that feeling. And right now we're not getting it. And this concept to me is dead. Granted, they sold 19,000 tickets. It is the United Kingdom. How often are they there? But the concept for me is just completely lost. They don't do anything for me. And like I told Jason in the soundcheck, it feels more like a WWE Saudi show for me when I watch this and I feel it, as I'm watching it. There's just nothing there. I have no passion for it. And that sucks. I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, again, when I look back at the card for all the good matches that there were, I look at it and go, are there any matches on this show that when I look back at the end of this year and I compare it to a lot of the other AEW pay-per-views, I'm going to be like, okay, this Forbidden Door match is on my list of matches to remember and, go back and watch. No, not really. And again, maybe Hangman MJF, but that's about it. So the rest it was fine, but we got spoiled at so many of these other shows, even, the women's match, right? Which I enjoyed. It was a good match, but to me, it wasn't Tony and Mercedes from Texas. So that's fine. But again, the concept is just played out at this point. I don't know what he can do to try to spice it up because I just feel like we're just going to come to it every year. And it's going to be the same thing where you'll see some New Japan talents that will suddenly pop up on TV. And maybe they'll get a title match or something, but you're not building any kind of really engaging story here. So when you have episodic television and you're building week to week, it gets very dull. They can make matches, but what's really happening to build those matches? It's almost like you're in this holding pattern until you get beyond Forbidden Door. And it's like, okay, now we can get back to business and build to, All In. So that's kind of what it feels like. That's what the Saudi shows for WWE used to be. Less so now, but that's kind of how they used to feel. Like, okay, they're going to Saudi. They're going to do a bunch of matches. It's not going to matter. We'll get past it. Some people don't even bother watching them. And then we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. Yeah. Now they try to make those shows more important, but that's kind of how those shows used to feel. And Forbidden Door, in that regard, Forbidden Door does kind of have that similar feel.
Yeah, not much story coming out of Forbidden Door on Sunday, which makes me worry about tomorrow's Dynamite because he hasn't really announced anything yet, and usually his follow-ups are complete fails, in my opinion. Yeah. So,
also, there's talents in some of these matches at these post pay-per-view Dynamites that are off the show because they have killed themselves on the pay-per-view.
I think Sapp even said something. He's like, how many more injuries am I going to have to announce going into next week's Dynamite coming out of this show? A lot, probably.
Yeah, so like how many people are even going to be on the show, like able-bodied to be on the show and wrestling on Wednesday? I don't know. We know of at least 2 that will not be wrestling on Wednesday.
Yes, we'll get into that when we get to those particular matches. But get ready for Action Ends Ready and AR Fox tomorrow night on Dynamite. Can't wait.
One of them be on Collision.
Yeah. The AR Fox is Mr. Collision, so we'll see.
They pretty much, they pretty much moved him onto that show exclusively at this point. So.
Yeah. But one of the things that did have story going in and coming out is Adam Cole and Christian Cage. They wrestled the Matriarchy, Kill Switch, formerly Luchasaurus, and Kip Sabian. I think Jason. Quick side note here. What do you think of Mother Wayne on Sunday night, man? She was there, huh?
I mean, Mother Wayne, she's always there.
She was very much there, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look at them.
The thing I asked Jesse, man. Mother Wayne's tired, Jesse. Thumbs up or thumbs down? He's like, no comment, bro. No comment. I'm a married man.
Well, I mean, look, she's a very classy lady. I do want to mention this because you said you didn't see the pre-show.
I did not, no.
So for all of the madness that we saw on Sunday in that main event, and maybe even some of the other matches, the most insane spot of the night actually happened on the pre-show.
Yes, I did see this, unfortunately, on Twitter, yes.
And there was nothing on this show that scared me more than that. Like in the moment when it happened, that was the Michael Oku bump. Now, again, on the pre-show, if you missed it, we're not going to go over it, but Tony tried to get as many people on the show as he possibly could. They were in the UK, right? It's a big night. So 30 wrestlers in total, I believe, wrestled on the pre-show. And what he did was he created a whole series of all-star tag team matches. So it was mostly either 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, up and down the card. One of those matches had Michael Oku. He's a young star on the rise from the UK, and he's in this match, and so were the Gates of Agony. And I believe it was Toa Leona who gave him a pounce, and he pounced him out of the ring. He cleared the top rope backwards and fell out of the ring backwards and rotated as he fell and damn near landed straight down on his head. Somehow he was able to kind of tilt his head up a little bit, so he only landed on his face on the floor. He looked like he was out of it for a few seconds there, but he continued the match. I don't know how. He was very, very, very lucky. It was a very, very stupid thing to do, but it certainly lit up social media because I saw everybody sharing video of what happened. But my fucking God, I mean, there's no safety net there. And you just got to hope and pray.
Well, who's in charge here, bro? I mean, like, there's producers, there's agents, there's Tony Khan to say yes or no. It's like he's not even signed to the company, and he's doing a spot like that. And a spot like that is okay. Like, why is that allowed?
On the pre-show. Yeah, on the pre-show. And also, I just was wondering, like, why would you not have a couple of guys there? They always have people outside the ring to catch you when you do these basic, like, high cross bodies and like moonsaults. And yet, for a spot like that, there's nobody there to try to catch him or like, I don't know if there was somebody who was supposed to be there. That's not the impression I got. I don't think there was supposed to be. Why wouldn't there be?
It's like that Javon Evans spot from NXT on TV last Tuesday, and then the spot again at the PLE on Heatwave. It's like, what the fuck are they doing with these guys? Well, because they're athletic and they can jump high and go far, that doesn't mean we have to fucking risk their career already.
Well, I guess in his case, it was like, well, I guess the table will break my fall.
Sure.
Here, it was just the floor. So, yeah, that was honestly the scariest thing on the entire show, and it wasn't even on the main card.
Ridiculous. So, yeah, that was awful looking. But this opening match, Adam Cole and Christian Cage, Kill Switch, formerly Luchasaurus, Kip Sabian. I enjoyed this. It wasn't anything to really write home about, but I did enjoy the story of if Christian and Cope were going to be able to coexist. They did. They didn't really show any real problems there. They're helping each other out. Obviously, Cope has his FTR problem. Christian said he'd help him with that. Christian has his matriarchy problem. Copeland says he's going to help him out with that. And I think more tension, Jason, was from Luchasaurus, Killswitch, and Kip Sabian. Now, what'd you make of the tension there? Because I did pitch that, and Jesse did as well on our review, that Luchasaurus, he doesn't really fit into this current story with the matriarchy. I would much rather see him back on his own, and I'm glad he's back because I think you mentioned on your show on Saturday, like it's very crazy that he's even back because there was a moment there that nobody thought he'd ever be back. It was life-threatening, and so I'm glad to see him back. I really enjoy his work. So he is back here. I feel like he's better off on his own. Killswitch was a name that Christian gave him. Don't know why he's still operating as that. Do you see with this tension here that there may be a split between him and the matriarchy? He goes back to Luchasaurus. And I said, why not we get Jack Perry back together with Luchasaurus, a more darker version of Jurassic Express, maybe a different name for them. Tag team division could use them. There were some people saying that in that great vignette that we saw on Wednesday when he returned, that the person administering the needle and the shot might have been Jack Perry himself. What'd you make of the tension there? Where do you see Luchasaurus going from here?
Yeah, I heard that also, but I don't know what was in the vignette that would have led people to believe it. Was it just like the shirt he was wearing?
Yeah, like the color clothing, and people were pointing out it looked like Jack Perry's hand, which I don't know how people determine that's Jack Perry's hand unless they have hand fetishes. I don't know, but
wasn't the person wearing gloves? Weren't they wearing latex gloves?
They might have been. I don't know.
So that's what I was curious. Like, how are people? What you know? What?
Let social media be social media, bro.
Let them do what they're going to do. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. It would be another tag team, to add to the division. But what I got out of this was, and also, by the way, I don't know if you saw the new. They finally had a new episode of Being the Elite. It's the first one they've done in a while.
Yep.
And there's a moment in that video where I think Matt Jackson gets like a phone call that he ignores, and it says Jack Perry on his phone.
Yeah.
So it could be a sign that he'll be on his way back soon. The thing that I got out of this was, what we saw in this match, Kip Sabian was sort of disrespecting and mistreating Killswitch in the same way that Christian used to. So they're already teasing. There will be a split. I mean, they were just foreshadowing it there. But that was the thing that jumped out of me. Like, what Christian used to do to him is what Kip Sabian was doing to him in that match. So he is going to split. Could it be a reunion with Jack Perry? Would he be on his own? I mean, either way is fine. Either way is fine. And he would be a solid addition, whether it's as a single or a tag team wrestler. This match was solid. I mean, it didn't have to be anything more than that. The way I compared it was this was the appetizer to the main entree that's coming in Toronto. So you didn't want to give away too much here. I mean, obviously you weren't going to beat them in this match. So set the table for what's coming with Copeland and Christian and FTR. So this went exactly the way I figured it would. The fans sang Copeland's song. They were very happy to see him, and this was what it needed to be. I thought it was a solid open to the show.
Yeah, I agree. Nobody sings Alter Bridge like the UK crowd. They're more popular over there than they are over here. I feel like, I know we discussed this, I think it was last week when we talked about the Christian and Copeland hug in Cincinnati, or Cleveland, wherever it was. I feel like what they did there, at least the hug portion, I kind of went overboard saying that they should have did everything in Toronto. Looking back at it, I do still feel like the hug should have happened on Sunday. I think
we had a debate last week right here on the show where you said that you would have held out until Toronto for the hug.
Yeah.
And I said that you're out of your mind. If anything, you do the hug on this show.
Yeah.
You have to do the first match then in Toronto. You don't wait until Toronto to do the hug. So
yeah, I think the hug was rushed. It would have been a lot better in front of 19,000 instead of 1,100.
Sure. That was my point.
Yeah.
Like, you don't wait that long until Toronto to do the hug. You do it in front of a big crowd like this. Now imagine in front of that crowd, 19,000 people, and they first, hug for the first time in God knows how many years, instead of doing it in front of 1,100 people.
Yeah. Yeah, this was good. Copeland and Christian, we'll see where they go on Wednesday. Obviously, FTR is the vision, so we will see what happens there. But tag team titles will not be on the line.
Don't say the vision.
Not a fan, huh?
I don't know. I've gotten to a point now where when I hear, burn it down, like my ears start to bleed, and I'm like, oh no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
You hear that, and it's you know what happened. You know what happens when you hear that, man. It's either a DQ or a fucking interference, man. Every week.
That's it.
Moving on here, Kyle Fletcher, he retained the TNT title over Hiromu Takahashi. Really nothing to write home about there. Fletcher, he looks great. He's a great wrestler. I just wish that they do more with the TNT title. We'll talk about the Don Callis family as they did add another member, which I did not like, a little bit later in the show. I do want to mention this because I know Bryan Danielson was on commentary. He had some nice flattering things to say about Kyle Fletcher. I would advocate, I think I'm going to put my name into the vote here, for Bryan Danielson to replace Tony Schiavone on commentary. I think he's fucking great. It just brought me back to when he did commentary with Morrow for the Cruiserweight Classic. He was great then. He's even better now. He just gives you a sense of like what he's thinking, what a technical wrestler's thinking. He's even adding more story than Excalibur is to some of these things, and I don't have to think because he's saying what I'm thinking out loud. I very much appreciated what he did on Sunday night. So more Bryan Danielson on the commentary team, please. Fletcher, he retained over Takahashi. Jason, any care about this at all? Did you have any thoughts here?
It was a fine match.
There you go.
It was a fine match, and Fletcher's not even 30 days into this run as TNT champion. So these are the kinds of wins that he should be racking up.
Mercedes, speaking of racking up wins, she defended the TBS title, one of her nine titles now.
Well, you got to go back to Friday. Friday, she won her 9th championship. Do you have the name of this title written down? It's I don't have it in front of me, but
I did. I swear to God, I had something pulled up here. I think it's like the Discovery Scottish Championship or something like that. No?
Discovery Scottish. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
How many of these 9 titles that she has are active championships? Do we know what the number is? 5, 6 of the 9? I know the Owen Hart one is not an. I know the Owen Hart one is not an active title, but I'm pretty sure there's at least a couple more that she's holding that also are not really technically active, not actively being defended like some of the other ones she has.
I don't know. We went over. Me and Jesse went over this on Sunday and again on Wednesday. I don't know, man. It's like, you know, we know why they're doing it. She can say whatever she wants in character. I don't know what this is doing to benefit the titles or the promotions that she's wrestling for. I don't.
Tony Khan's not doing anything. I mean,
he's not doing anything. No.
These promotions, and I understand why. Like, if you're a promoter, look, the promoter of Rev Pro has talked about like how huge it's been for them to have her hold their championship, and I believe this was a Rev Pro show where she won the Discovery
Wrestling Scottish Women's Championship.
But it was on a Rev Pro show, I believe.
It was, yeah. She defeated Emerson Jane.
Emerson Jane, right? Yeah. So if you're these promotions, right, it's huge to be able to promote the fact that Mercedes is going to be wrestling for your promotion. I get it. I'm just wondering, like, what the end game is here, because all these titles she's winning, is she just going to have to vacate some of them? Is she going to lose all 9 of them?
No.
I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know where it ends too, because you know she has to at least get to 10, right? So she's going to win more. She's not done yet. So
yeah, she's going to win the AEW Women's Championship.
Right, but will she still at that point have all these other ones, or will that come at a point where she's dropped most of these at that point?
She'll win the Women's Championship, drop the TBS title when she breaks Jake Cargill's record, and never be pinned. Besides the one in Tony.
Well, she's got to lose. She's got to lose the TBS championship first before she wins the world championship. She's not winning the world championship before October.
Well, never say never.
Never say never. I mean, it's less clear who the next challenger is going to be for Toni Storm, but I don't see. We already did this, is what I'm saying. Like, she was already the TBS champion, challenged for the world title, didn't win. Does she not need to lose the TBS title first before you start talking about her as the world champion?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't know what their direction is, because I don't know where they go with Toni after she beat Athena. I just feel like they're going to go back to Toni and Mercedes for some reason.
Not yet. I don't think you go back to that yet. Doesn't feel like that's what the plan is. I mean, I have a name in mind that I would like to see built up to challenge Toni and maybe beat Toni for the championship. It's not Mercedes.
All right. Well, when we get to Athena, we'll talk about that. Yeah. But she is the TBS champion. This Discovery Wrestling Scottish Women's Championship, the Owen Hart tournament belt, she's still carrying around, which she won to get the match with Toni at All In, and then she lost the match at All In to Toni, but she's still carrying around the belt for the tournament. I guess it's all a gimmick, so whatever it is. CMLL Women's Championship, EWA Women's Champion, Primetime Wrestling Women's Champion, and the Bestia Women's Champion. They don't even make mention of these names on Dynamite, Jason. I don't know what.
There's only 2 hours in the show. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, I will say, like, she had that entrance where she had the Royal Guards, and so she had the TBS title around her waist, and she's got 8 other belts, and it was perfect because she had 4 guards on one side, 4 guards on the other, and they were all holding the belts for her. Because now it's gotten to the point where she's not going to be able to carry them by herself. Like, the belts combined probably weigh more than she does. So it's good when she can outsource the job and have somebody else carry the belts to the ring for her.
Yeah, that was actually a very logical and wise entrance. I actually quite enjoyed that. I thought that was very, very good. She did defend the TBS title here against Alex Windsor, Persephone, and Bozilla. Bozilla had a really nice performance here, Jason. I didn't know anything about Bozilla coming on in. All I know is that she's 21 years old. She is with Stardom. You mentioned something about her being German, of German descent, and then some nice weird statistic you shot at everybody. She was German in this match. What was the stat you threw out there?
Well, so in this match with her, we had a German wrestler who was representing Stardom, which is a Japanese promotion, wrestling here in the UK on a show that is being hosted by an American company.
It's crazy.
Yeah, global indeed. She came across to me in many ways, even when she came out, whatever that mask was that she was wearing, it looked like it was smoking. It reminded me of like a Vader entrance, like when back in the Big Van Vader days, he had that helmet and it would like shoot smoke and shit out of it. And then she wrestled very, Vader-like. She was the monster in this match. She played her role very well. I said, if I'm Stardom, I am making sure, if she isn't already, that she is signed to an actual contract, because as we saw with Stephanie Vicaire, if she's not, there's two promotions, including this one right here that we're talking about, that are probably going to have great interest in her. So for Stardom's sake, she's only been there for 2 months. I would hope they have her committed to some sort of deal, because WWE and obviously Tony Khan were paying very close attention here.
Yes, for sure. If it's not Bozilla, it's definitely Persephone. I don't think anybody came into this thinking Mercedes was going to lose. This was definitely just a showcase match. Alex Winston's in front of her hometown, and Persephone, I didn't really know much about. She looked good as well. I think Bozilla looked the best out of everybody here, just because I didn't know who she was coming on into this. Mercedes got the win, and she retained the TBS championship. Do you think that WWE is already scouting Persephone and Bozilla? Do you think any of them get picked up?
I mean, I don't know if they get picked up because I don't know what their status is, but are they scouting? Yes, they're scouting all of these shows. Every time they bring in somebody new from one of these promotions, they have eyes on them. I mean, they have scouts all over the world anyway, and it would be stupid for them not to be paying attention. So, but it was Bozilla more than Persephone that I think really impressed in this match.
Yeah.
Just because so many people probably just didn't know much of her. Not that Persephone is, inferior to her. I'm not saying that, but Bozilla is the one who I think probably opened up a lot of eyes and probably got a lot of interest from certain places.
So there you go. She was definitely something that worked on the Forbidden Door. More people know about her now than they did before. Zack Sabre Jr., he defended the IWGP World Championship against Nigel McGuinness with Daniel Garcia in his corner. He won a fatal four-way on Collision a week before the show. Again, another match here that was just put together for obvious reasons. Tony Khan, AEW, wanted, Nigel, who's from the UK, here wrestling on this show in the O2. And Zack Sabre Jr., you got to have him on the show because he is the IWGP World Champion. Again, I think Zack Sabre is a great pro wrestler. He's just not for me. I find him to be terribly boring. I just can't get invested in a Zack Sabre match, especially when there's no story. This wasn't bad, but I think coming into this, nobody cared me. I didn't care coming out of this. It was just there for me, and I anticipated a Daniel Garcia turn. That did not happen. I think they're waiting on that if they are leaning into that. So we didn't even get that, and Zack Sabre retained. I don't know what you thought of this, Jason, but I just felt like it was just there. Jesse said this was more like a pre-show match to him. I don't know if I go that far, but again, no real reason to care.
So he would put the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match on the pre-show?
He said this was a pre-show match to him, yeah.
Oh, boy. I don't think New Japan would look kindly upon that. Look, I knew what to expect coming into it. I had no other expectations other than these two were going to go out there and have a really good technical wrestling match. Nobody could have gone into this match or should have gone into this match expecting anything else other than maybe there being a Daniel Garcia turn. And when he came out and had the towel around his neck, I thought that was potentially an angle alert right there as far as the finish, and it wasn't. So it was just a straight technical wrestling exhibition between two guys who in their careers are known to be very technically sound. The finish kind of came out of nowhere, but I thought it was a fine match. It was exactly what I expected it to be. I'm happy for Nigel because for him, I know that was a big moment. I don't know that he ever really expected he would be back in the ring in the first place. So him coming back to wrestle Bryan Danielson, and he's had a few matches since then. Here he is in London wrestling for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And he did that. They had that video package before the match of him sitting in the park playing chess with.
Yeah, that was great.
With Johnny Saint. So I mean I'm happy for him. I know that meant something special to him. And this match, honestly, compared to most of the other matches on this show, is really representative of what Forbidden Door is. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people are bored by it. Other people, they relish stuff like this. You have the IWGP champion on the show defending the title against an AEW star, and they just go out there and they wrestle.
Yeah.
This match probably was more of an embodiment of Forbidden Door than any other match on this show.
I agree. There was no turn. Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and Daniel Garcia kind of hung in the background. He kind of gave you the feel that he was going to turn, but nothing happened. Then it was just announced that they had 18,992 in attendance for tonight's show, or Sunday show rather. No turn on that night for Garcia. Who knows it's coming or when it's coming? So we'll see what happens with that. Zack Sabre retained, and then after the match, we had Tekla and Queen Aminata brawling backstage. They were on the pre-show during the women's match, so it looks like they had been brawling for 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. A 2-hour brawl that nobody could break up, apparently.
I don't know what happened there, but someone stole the last chicken finger from catering. I don't know.
But look, I mean, these two women, I'll say this, they've been feuding for weeks and weeks, and they do a very good job of convincing you that they really do hate each other's guts. So
yeah, but no reason has been given as to why they're feuding, though. Or does it even matter?
I mean, at this point, they've been feuding for weeks. I don't remember what the impetus was. I think they were probably part of the same tag match. It probably stems from an early match on Collision. I honestly don't know what the spark was specifically between these two, but it goes back many, many weeks. So there is a story there. Fuck if I remember what exactly was the spark that lit the fuse, but I appreciate the fact that when they're out there, and this is, again, another week of them brawling and hating each other's guts. It's very convincing. So it's a solid, like, mid-card women's feud. And then you saw Julia Hart and Sky Blue came out, and so she was outnumbered. And then we got the return of Jamie Hayter, who we have not seen since the Owen Hart tournament when she lost to Mercedes. They saved her return here for London, so everybody was very happy to see her. And she's a great name to have back. And if she can stay healthy, that'll be a great addition to that women's division. And to go back to the point that I made earlier, as far as having a name in mind, that I would like to see them build up for an eventual championship match with Toni Storm, this is the woman right here. It's Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been saying that for months and months and months, and then they don't deliver on that. I absolutely agree with that. Jamie's last match was in the Owen, and then speculation, arose that it might have been in that match with Mercedes where she got injured. The last time we physically seen her in a ring was Tekla's debut, and Tekla put her out. That was the way to write her off TV. So having her come back here to save Queen Aminata against Tekla does make sense, because the last time we saw Jamie Hayter was with Tekla in her debut. So I did not mind that. Don't know what they're building towards. Some people speculate that we may be getting a women's blood and guts match or something like that with the Triangle of Madness, Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford, and a collection of baby faces here. I don't know where we're going, but it's nice to see the other women on the show, mostly on Collision, but I don't really watch that show. Nice to see the other women, Jason, get involved and have at least something to do outside of the World Championship, and they're kind of all mingling with each other. So I think it's a good look.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if he was ever going to try a women's blood and guts, it does feel like this would probably be the time, just because we didn't get one with the men. We didn't need one with the men. I wouldn't have done one coming out of Anarchy in the Arena. That would have been overkill. So if ever there was a time for him to try it, this would be it. I don't know who all 10 women would be that would necessarily be a part of it, but I'll say this. If he was able to generate the kind of hatred that Tekla and Aminata have had on TV, then that would be a match worthy of blood and guts. I don't think there's any other women on the roster that come off as if they're in this like blood feud the way that those two do. So I don't know who the other 8 women would be other than Sky Blue and Julia Hart, how the teams would stack up. But it just feels to me like if he was going to do it, now would be the time to do it, because there really is no need to do one with the men. No, not at all. So we'll see what happens with that. Jamie Hayter is back on AEW television. Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, no MVP against FTR, Dax and Cash with Stokely, Brody King, and Bandito for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This was the first match of the entire show outside Cope and Christian that I was genuinely interested in. Even then,
I was more interested in what the outcome was going to be just because of the report that came out a couple of weeks ago about the creative input of MVP and who he wants to lose to, who he doesn't mind losing to, who he will absolutely refuses to lose to. This was good outside of the atrocious ending that ended this match. Now, the one thing here, Jason, is that Lashley and Benjamin were not pinned. They lost the tag team championships, and for reasons of Ricochet and Gates of Agony interfering. They came out there, they were wearing New Japan jumpsuits, tracksuits with masks, and they chased off and beat down the Hurt Syndicate, and they were removed from the match. They all brawled to the back. I'll start there. With them
Let me ask you a question before you say what you're going to say.
Yeah.
What was the point of them wearing masks?
I don't know. I said the same thing on Sunday. It's like when they removed the masks and they revealed who they were, the crowd couldn't be bothered to give a fuck. It's like, you might as well just have come out just showing us who you are and why you're there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, yeah, I mean, that was the real reason I was asking. It wasn't like some big, giant reveal, but, like, what was the purpose of them even wearing masks? They could have just run out and...
I don't know, man. I don't know why this place. I don't know why this place does half of the fucking things that they do. Anyway,
well, it's one of those wrestling tropes. But
yeah, but Ricochet and Gates of Agony are out there. They chase the Hurt Syndicate away. They don't come back, and then we get to the ending. Now, Ricochet and the Hurt Syndicate haven't had anything to do with each other in about 7-8 months. When Ricochet was maybe being courted by the Hurt Syndicate, he wanted to maybe join the group, and they didn't really think he was in the business of hurting people. He wasn't aggressive enough. Yeah, they bullied him. Yeah, they bullied him. Yeah, they basically cucked him out. And this with the MJF situation, we've seen MJF, I don't know if it's going to lead to any long-term thing, but he did seek Ricochet's help with the Gates of Agony to, potentially burn Mark Briscoe to get Hangman to, agree to the stipulations that we saw in their championship match on Sunday. Is this a thing where he's now looking for revenge on the Hurt Syndicate because he has his backup in the Gates of Agony? Now he can go at them 3-on-3, or is this something to do with MJF? And he's made a deal with Ricochet to take out the Hurt Syndicate. So which way are they going here? How do you feel about it?
I was waiting to see if the Hurt Syndicate would show their faces in the championship match, because that was the only thing that really would have made the most sense to me. And they didn't do that. And that doesn't mean they still won't pursue that story angle, because to me, that would make sense. MJF was booted out of the Hurt Syndicate very unceremoniously, and then it was never mentioned again. Now, you would think, like, his character, would he just let that slide? Only if there were political games being played here and there were certain people who said, this story is over. Nothing against Max. This doesn't work for us. We don't want to pursue this anymore. And legitimately, that's just the end of the story.
Oh, he was stealing their thunder. Let's be real.
To some degree, I could see where they might feel that way. But honestly, it was one of the most interesting things on the entire show.
Agreed.
So everybody was winning, right? MJF is still one of the prime characters on the show. The Hurt Syndicate, already very popular, and they were getting, a decent amount of TV time themselves, but now they're paired up with, again, one of the prime characters on the show, and you have this story that you're telling, and it was like, okay, this is interesting. Where is this going to go? Who's going to turn on who? And then it was just like over, right? So if that's what happened here, then I guess we're not going to see this, but that would make sense, would it not? That he made some sort of business arrangement on Wednesday, right? He almost burned Mark Briscoe alive. He made this arrangement with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, and maybe there was more business done that we didn't see on TV, and it played itself out here. That's the story that I would tell. That would make more sense than Ricochet 8 months later saying, I play the long game, and, coming out and costing them the tag team titles, where it's like, okay, yeah, you can say that makes sense because there was that little bit of history there, but here's my issue with this. Whether it makes sense or not, put that on the side. It was a very lame way for an 8-month tag team title reign to come to an end. Sending Ricochet and the Gates of Agony out there as the reason why the Hurt Syndicate, they were kind of taken out of the match, basically. They lose their titles after 8 months and mowing down every team in this division practically. And they don't even have to take the losing fall. That alone is very weak. Okay, very, very weak. But then you factor in the unfortunate ending to the match where it was all botched up and it didn't go according to plan, and it just felt like, was this a mistake? Was this meant to? It took the wind out of everybody's sails, and it sucks because up to that point, I thought it was a very good match. But from the moment that Brody King did that monkey flip and he flipped Bandito over and he didn't quite stick the landing, and then it just sort of fell apart from there. I don't know. It looked like he slipped off of Dax. Cash dove into the ring because he was going to like almost make the, break up the pin, but not quite. But Bandito came off of him. And then Cash already jumped in the ring. He had to stop. And then Bandito just covered Dax again. And Cash looks like an idiot now. And then the match just ends. Yeah. And this is how an 8-month, dominant tag team title reign comes to an end. It went over like a wet fart. It just didn't work. And so the finish sucked. But I just think it's very, very weak that's how the Hurt Syndicate went down after killing everybody. It was just as if, well, we're not really going to give anything back to you here. And that's what we saw play out, and I think that sucks. But I will say this, though. Brody King and Bandito, this was the first truly unpredictable finish on the show. And I saw their comments at the post-show scrum, and you could tell like it meant something to them. And I don't know if you saw Tony Khan presenting Bandito with that the jersey.
I did not. I didn't watch any of this scrum, though.
Yeah, from one of the players. So, and Bandito's like crying through the mask and everything. Look, they're a fun team. It's one of these teams that just it came together because Buddy Matthews got hurt. They came together and they've become a fun team to watch. I don't dislike the fact that they're going to get a run now with the tag team titles. It does call into question how they're going to get to, Copeland and Christian and FTR. Will the titles be involved? Will they not be involved? I feel like they almost have to be involved. So do Brody King and Bandito get inserted into that? Do we have 3 straight months of triple threat tag team title matches on these pay-per-views? I don't know. Without knowing how long they're going to have the belts for, I was happy for them that they had that moment because they have been a highlight of these television shows when they're in the ring wrestling. They're a very good team.
They are. I make fun of the fact that AEW has paired Brody King up with every luchador in the company. He's like the king of the luchadors unofficially. So this one actually stuck, and it works. It's odd, but it works. To go back to a point that you made, the Hurt Syndicate and the lame way that they were removed from this match because of Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, I agree. But then you go back to the report that Fightful put out. They didn't want to lose to FTR at All In and Forbidden Door. That obviously came true because if they were to lose the tag team championships, I don't know if you noticed, FTR and the Hurt Syndicate barely. There was a moment maybe here or there, but very minimally. They were even in the match together. They even touched each other. I don't know if that had anything to do with what the report said. I don't know what it is with the Hurt Syndicate against FTR. They're one of the more legit tag teams in the world. I don't see a big deal to lose to them. But then in the match, you had Brody and Lashley, if you remember, had a stare down. The crowd fucking stood up. They were raucous. They wanted to see it. If MVP didn't want to lose to FTR, why is it a problem? Why would it be a problem to lose to Brody King? If they wanted to really put a statement out as far as who they lose to, who they don't lose to, Brody King should not be a problem. And if they could have lost the tag team championships, I don't know why Brody couldn't get the win over Bobby Lashley and pin Bobby Lashley. He's one of them. I mean, Brody King's bigger than Bobby Lashley, if that's the problem. And he looks at the rest of the roster as not legit enough and not the same size as Bobby Lashley. It doesn't look real. He wants to protect his boys. Why couldn't the Hurt Syndicate lose to Brody King and have Bobby Lashley be pinned by Brody King? It would have been a lot better off. And it would have saved everybody looking like complete fools, because now the report is just staring you in the face. It's like, all right, there is creative input, and MVP does have some sort of control, and they let Tony Khan know what they wanted, and they got it. So it just made everybody look bad, and I don't understand what the problem is. And I said this to Jesse on Sunday. If that's the way the Hurt Syndicate are operating, and they're not here for the tag team titles. They're not here for the tag team division. They're not making anybody look better or the division better. You know, I love their act. I think they're great. But those three, the way that you hear about these rumors, they are 3 guys I would not want on my roster just because of the ego that they have showed. And they're not for anybody but themselves. Why would you want that on the roster? I thought everybody looked terrible coming out of this. Yeah,
to go back to your question, why couldn't Lashley lose to Brody King? There's no reason. He could have. Now, they may have a story in mind that will play out on TV this week with Ricochet and Gates of Agony and the Hurt Syndicate. You could always set that up, though, any number of ways, but they may have wanted them to be the reason why they lost the titles because it's going to lead into a program, let's say, between them. Because if you remember also in that report, again, if it's to be believed, MVP and the Hurt Syndicate, they were more open to maybe dropping the belts to Gates of Agony or the Outrunners or Private Party, which just sounds so ridiculous at this point because these are all teams they've already beaten and virtually destroyed. So was it a case where they just felt like it doesn't serve the overall interest of the company for them to lose the belts to an established tag team who have already held those titles, 3 times probably at this point? They were looking to make somebody new. That's not the impression I got here. They didn't make anybody, because like you said, they could have very well have taken the losing fall in this match to Brody King and Bandito, and it's not as if they would have been harmed in the slightest. They have been protected from day one, and they have a certain credibility that, they can lose to a Brody King and Bandito, who were no slouches, by the way, and they'll be fine. And this is a problem that we see in wrestling in general in both companies where it's like they're terrified to beat their top stars. They always look for some kind of an out. We saw it with the the King and Queen of the Ring and Money in the Bank qualifying matches where they were all like triple threats. So you can in a lot of cases, spare the top star from having to take a losing fall. I don't know why these companies are so terrified to, every now and then beat their top talents. It's like, what do they think is going to happen if they actually lose a fucking match? It's fine. Like, there's a reason why they are established, credible top talents. They can absorb a loss, unlike somebody lower down on the card who doesn't have that same level of credibility.
Well, it's tough for a company when they don't really tell stories to enhance the loss or enhance the characters following a loss, and everything's based on winning and losing. That's the only thing that they know how to do.
Well, yeah, but it's just, I don't know. It's like they're so terrified to take chances here, and just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like they're afraid to take chances and just beat people who sometimes need to be beaten in order to help elevate somebody else that they're in the ring with. And then you have a situation like this where, let's find a way to get them out of this situation so that somebody else can take the losing fall. It's just so fucking lame when you see it over and over and over again. So in this case, I thought it was just a very lame finish for multiple reasons. But up until that point, I was enjoying the match.
Yeah, I thought it was fun up until the ending. And we got a 30-minute time limit draw on Wednesday last week with Brody King and Bandito against FTR. It's like you knew exactly what they were doing. It went from a regular match, triple threat, then I seen the graphics say eliminator match, and then we get to the pay-per-view on Sunday. It's not an eliminator match. It's like... Yeah, we even got to the match, and it's like Excalibur said this is going to be tornado rules. There's no tags, and then all of a sudden I see Shelton Benjamin on the outside getting tagged in by Bobby Lashley. It's like, I thought this was a tornado tag, and there was no tags. They can't even get their rules right.
They didn't include the announcers in on exactly what was going on here. So no, it was supposed to be an elimination match, and there was no mention of it being an elimination match. So I don't know what happened with that. That was a little strange.
Well, looking back at it, if FTR won the titles, to take them off of FTR a month later against Copeland and Christian in Toronto at All Out, it would have been, it would have looked ridiculous. FTR is better than a token fucking, 1 month title run.
Yeah, but okay, so now you're in a situation, though, where Brody and Bandito just won the belts. My impression is they're not just going to drop them in the next couple of weeks. So they're the tag team champions now. Do you do Brody, King, and Bandito and insert them into this scenario where you end up with a 3-way match? Does Copeland, Christian, FTR need the tag team titles on the line? My argument would be it would be better for the titles to be on the line in that match, because if you do Copeland and Christian against FTR on that show, there's no other tag team match. There's no tag team title match that they can do that's going to be a bigger attraction than that. So your tag team title match, if you have one on that show, is automatically below that, and that should never be the case. So ideally, the belts would be on the line in the biggest tag team match on the show. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
I agree, but this is where I am going to tell you I think it's going to go. I don't think that we'll get another triple threat match All Out. I think they will do the tag team match with Cope, Christian, and FTR non-title. I think it's just about them in Toronto. And I do think that they stay together after All Out as a tag team. I think Brodito is going to defend the tag team championships either A, against the Hurt Syndicate, because they'll probably make up some stupid bullshit. The Hurt Syndicate wasn't pinned and they were driven away by the Gates of Agony and Ricochet, so they'll be getting a rematch, which I don't know what good that would do. I don't want to see Hurt Syndicate as the tag team champions again. We've been there, done that. That's option A. Option B is I think Brodito defends the tag team championships at All Out or somewhere later after All Out against the Young Bucks. And I think we do the Young Bucks getting the tag team titles back or going after the tag team titles because they are being disrespected. They're not getting their entrance. They're being treated like jobbers. And they feel like going after the tag team championships again and winning them, they would get the respect that they rightfully deserve, or they feel like they rightfully deserve by beating Brodito for the tag team championships. And I think somewhere towards the end of the year, whether it's Wrestle Dream or Full Gear, I think we get Cope and Christian versus the Young Bucks for the tag team championships. And I think Cope and Christian take the titles from the Young Bucks. I think that's where we're going.
Could be. I would hate it if they stopped doing these disrespectful entrances for the Young Bucks, because honestly, it's like the best part of these shows.
It is pretty humorous.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. Tag team titles are now on Brodito. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Okada, he defended the Unified Championship against Swerve Strickland. There is news coming out of this show on Swerve Strickland, which is not good news. And AEW will be without one of their big guns for at least 9 months if the injury is legit here. Fightful Select confirms that Swerve is actually working and has been working with a torn meniscus. How torn it is, I don't know, but they said that he's had it since 2019 when he was training at the WWE Performance Center. Either he did not have that bad of a torn meniscus, Jason, or the fucking guy is Superman, because the matches he's had since then, especially in AEW, some of the best matches this company's ever seen. So the fact that he actually worked with that is, he's like a god. That's unbelievable.
6 years.
Unbelievable, man. Holy shit.
6 years. So, I mean, obviously he did something to aggravate it recently.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden became an issue. It's just a weird thing because I've read up in the past on the whole meniscus thing, because certain athletes, they'll have surgery. Some people don't have a meniscus anymore, but then you run the risk of it becoming bone on bone later in life, which doesn't sound very fun. So look, you got to do what you got to do. And if this is going to, not just eliminate whatever pain and discomfort he's having, but, get him back to as close to 100% as possible, then you do what you need to do. It's not ideal given the overall injury situation in this company right now, but good on him for, gutting it out. Look, he wrestled here, and outside of those moments where he was selling the leg, they had a good match. This was not one of the best Swerve matches of the year or anything like that. This was not the usual Swerve quality that I think we're used to on these pay-per-views. But I mean, if he's been wrestling with this all this time, look at the body of work that he's put together. It's very impressive, that even with that, he's been able to put together the body of work that he has. Yeah,
nothing to be ashamed of there. Swerve is going to be out for a little bit. We don't know exactly what the time frame is going to be. I did read today that he is going to go and get surgery, torn meniscus, give or take, 6 to 9 months?
Not 9 months. I mean, probably about 6 months, maybe.
So he'll be out. Ospreay is obviously going to be out. They wrote him off. I might as well bunch this together here. I'll ask you, Jason. I said on my end on Sunday, AEW is in a good position when something like this happens, because they have a sea of talent that they could give opportunities to and maybe plug into that Ospreay and Swerve role at the top of the card. Give opportunities to maybe they develop a brand new star and they have someone else that is going to be at that level when Ospreay and Swerve comes back. They have so many people that they could choose from and give opportunities to. I'm not looking at this as necessarily a bad thing that they're losing Swerve and Ospreay, in the sense of, they're going to be, oh my God, they're out without their two top guys and there's nobody else left to take their spot. There's plenty of people that they could choose from. But when you have Swerve and Ospreay on any company, it's going to be a bad look. Kenny Omega is taking a part-time schedule. How do you look at this affecting AEW television? Do you look at it as, oh my God, the end of the world, or is it something that they could really benefit from and push new talent?
Well, you could always use injuries as an opportunity to push new talent. I mean, that's ultimately up to the booker, but it's a terrible thing to lose Ospreay alone, let alone Ospreay and Swerve at the same time. I wouldn't sit here and tell you, well, this is a great thing. Like, it's not a great thing. but you sometimes have to take a negative and try to turn it into a positive. So if Ospreay and Swerve are going away, they should be getting Eddie Kingston back soon. And so you'll be able to plug him into, some stories here on this show. I mean, it could be something with Mox and trying to get him away from this Death Rider stuff. I was thinking about that. So he'll be on his way back soon. And then you could also try to elevate certain younger talents as well. So just use it as an opportunity to step up, because there's plenty of talent on this roster, and talent that isn't probably getting the time they wish they were getting. So when somebody goes down, let alone two people, yeah, it's going to open up an opportunity for somebody. Wardlow just came back, right? We'll talk about him, but there you go. That's an example of somebody. Takeshita is somebody I'd like to start seeing more on TV. He's been in the G1, so we've hardly seen him. That's over now. Let's start getting him, some more screen time. It all comes down to who Tony wants to push. But, I think it could end up being a good thing for some of the younger talents.
I read today that Orange Cassidy is cleared, and he should be back soon.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll be back on Wednesday or going into All Out, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, it's not a good thing. I didn't mean it as a good thing, but they do have a little bit of a cushion to hopefully be creative. Brody King is another one I like to see more of. I know he's tag team champion, but a lot of people are looking at him possibly as being a main event guy if they want to develop him into that. Takeshi's great. So,
well, look, you mentioned recently that they just signed Ace Austin.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying it has to be him. I'm just saying that there's a whole plethora of young talent there that if they want to start, giving them more screen time and start to elevate them to a higher level, use that as an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. So the knee here was the issue with Swerve, and they really kind of sold that. And post-match, Okada trapped Strickland's bad knee in between the post and the steel steps and smashed it. Prince Nana ran out with a steel pipe to kind of chase off Callis and Okada. And Nana was in the ring attending to Strickland as he was selling his knee. And then that's when we seen the return of Wardlow. We have not seen him in 2 years.
I had to blink my eyes twice.
I know.
I wasn't sure if I was seeing a mirage or was I actually seeing him in the flesh.
I know, man. It's crazy. American Gladiators seemingly has done him good, man. He looks like a fucking beast. He looks more beastly than I remember him looking. But he was there. And
he hasn't been wrestling. I mean, he has no time to do anything else but train. So,
I know.
What else is he going to do?
And Wardlow squashed Nana. Strickland was forced to watch as Nana was destroyed. Wardlow stared down at Strickland, and then he destroyed 3 security guards there with a big lariat F5, which looked great, and a big power bomb. So the rest of the Don Callis family were there. They were all kind of huddled in the aisleway. Wardlow exits the ring, and he goes over to Don Callis, and he embraces the Don Callis family. And apparently he is now a new member, the newest member of the Don Callis family. Out comes Takeshita, and he walked out to his music. They stared down, did Takeshita and Wardlow, and that was the way the segment came to a close. He is now officially a part of the Don Callis family. I don't know what your immediate reaction was, Jason. Mine was, I want to give it time, but I'm not excited about the inclusion in the Don Callis family because, A, the Don Callis family is just growing week by week by week, and it's definitely reaching that NWO Wolfpack type of deal. And I'm not really into that. I don't like factions with fucking 8, 9, 10 guys. It's ridiculous. You look at Josh Alexander, hasn't made an impact. You look at the rest of the Don Callis family outside Takeshi and Kyle Fletcher. None of them are really making impacts.
Yeah, but dude, I'm watching this, and he goes outside and he hugs Callis, and I'm trying to count all the members because the members come out, and I see Wardlow, I see Josh Alexander, I see Kyle Fletcher out there.
Lance Archer.
My God, I can't remember them all. Yes, Lance Archer. But dude, that wasn't even all of
no.
them. Rocky Romero was there, but no Trent Beretta. He's part of it. Brian Cage is out, so he's part of it. He wasn't there. And then I completely forgot. Somebody pointed out to me, Mark Davis is technically a part of the Don Callis family as well, and he's hurt. So they have 11 guys, not counting Don Callis. I think it's about 11.
You forgot one.
I forgot one. Who did I forget?
Hachicero.
Oh my God, that's right. 12.
Who knows, man? We may be a part of the Don Callis family. Who knows?
The baker's dozen. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, come on. Even the Heenan family didn't have this many people.
Bro,
Like,
my point is, Josh Alexander is a tremendous professional wrestler. He hasn't made a lick of a difference on AEW television. My point is, I feel like when someone new comes into the company, it's either, they luckily go on their own or they get put with the Don Callis family. I feel like the Don Callis family is a landfill of people who AEW creative doesn't really have any sort of direction for. And I don't want that to be Wardlow, because look at him. He looks like a fucking legit guy. He's fucking big. He knows how to cut a promo. He's great in the ring. I don't understand why we need to pair him up here when he would be much better off on his own. Now, it may be a temporary thing. I don't know. But I just, at first glance and at first impressions, bro, I'm not a fan of it.
First impressions, because like you said, I mean, let's see where it goes, right? He literally just joined. So let's see where it's going to go. But this is now his third faction.
Yeah.
He was with the Pinnacle, and that ended up not working out too well for him. It was even worse with the Undisputed Kingdom, right? Let's not talk about that. So he's 0 for 2, and so now they're going to try again with him in a faction. I would not have been so quick to rush him into a faction where he could potentially end up as a background player. That's on Tony Khan. It's got to be, it's up to him now to make sure that doesn't happen, because this guy's been gone for long enough. So if you are going to do something with him, then do something with him substantial. Don't let him fade into the background like Josh Alexander has faded into the background. And Wardlow is one of those AEW originals. He's one of the OGs. You would think they would really want to, if he's back and he's healthy, now's the time to elevate him to that level. So let's see what his role ends up being here. We'll know within a few weeks if he's, coming out, just standing in the background, not even getting mic time. So it's not going to take very long to find out where he really stands in this. So it's good to see him back, but man, it really hit me like I had completely forgotten about him. And 3 years ago, like, dude, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
You remember 3 years ago? Mm-hmm. What happened? I know he got hurt. There were injuries were part of it. I think he had a knee injury.
And then he had that terrible car accident.
Yeah, and more recently he was away filming American Gladiators, but that's not the only reason. Like there were creative fuck ups, and there were just things happened that derailed a career that seemed like it was going this way, and then it just went this way. And so now Tony Khan has a chance to try to correct that. I think he's salvageable. I think he can be a bigger star for them. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but man, the difference from then to now is startling. It's like they're just starting from scratch with him.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, starting from scratch. I said this with Jesse on Sunday, and we both came up with really good option Bs here if they didn't want to pair him with the Don Callis family. I don't even think this was the right creative for him if they wanted him to return on Sunday night. They could have easily did it Sunday night as well, or waited. I know it's going back and doing a retread, but I would have absolutely paired him with MJF, bro. I mean, it probably just would have worked out even better for him now than it did with the Don Callis family. Plus, you got the Mark Briscoe and Hangman thing, and MJF is seemingly all on his own, minus the Hurt Syndicate. If he wanted to get back at the Hurt Syndicate at any point, if they wanted to tell that story, having Wardlow come in and back him up against the Hurt Syndicate, that would have been a better story than what they did here with Wardlow and the Don Callis family.
I mean, it could have been, but at the same time, like the way things went down before, and he was almost like a slave to this guy. He was treated like a slave for MJF, and he finally broke free. It's like for him to go crawling back to, even if it's just for money, for him to go crawling back to MJF, it's just a bad look for him. So it might have been a good spot for him to be in, but you know what? You can do things with him away from MJF. It doesn't have to revolve around MJF. That's where things started to really fall apart for him, honestly, after he beat MJF. And then remember all that controversy with MJF and no showing the meet and greet and everything else. And it really just completely, that was supposed to be Wardlow's weekend. And he beat him, he demolished MJF, who was then just back on TV a few days later cutting that work shoot promo, and nobody was talking about Wardlow anymore. No. That was really the beginning of the end for him.
Now, what did Wardlow do after that? He beat up 20 security guards?
Well, was that around the time that he could have gotten a world championship match and said that he didn't want one or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
My God, just awful.
Hopefully this is better. If we're going to get a Takeshita Wardlow match in the time being, and Takeshia's going to be teasing, him leaving the Don Callis family, listen, I'll be for that. Just give me Takeshita and Okada, build that up, whether it happens at All Out or at...
I think Takeshita might be the IWGP champion in a few months before they even get to the
whatever.
Tokyo.
Give him all the belts, man. He's fucking great.
Well, give him all the belts, but like I don't really see them pursuing Okada and Takeshita until he wraps up whatever he's doing with New Japan. So the sooner the better. Yeah, I mean, if he was to win the championship between now and then drop it, on January 4th to one of the younger New Japan stars, which is what they should do. At that point now, he's done, and then they could focus on Okada and Takeshita, which is what I think the direction should be.
We got to wait till January for him to win the unified title?
Well, they may have to wait until January to just kick things off with him and Okada. If he wins the IWGP title in the next couple of months, I don't know that we're going to see him doing much on AEW television until he drops that championship.
I don't know. Hopefully they could keep my interest then with the Don Callis family. Maybe Wardlow will be that interest. We'll see. Timeless Tony Storm and Athena. This was for the AEW Women's Championship. This wasn't bad because there's no such thing as a bad Athena and Tony Storm match. I think people had high expectations coming out of Tony and Mercedes at All In. I didn't expect it to be that. But I was just happy, and Jason, I know, was happy just to see Athena back on television for consecutive weeks and then here on this pay-per-view for the Women's Championship. She cashed in this, and we have news on this because I'm genuinely curious to see what he says about this new rule for this Casino Gauntlet contract that Tony's now changed at the Scrum. Jason, she cashed in this contract in a very babyface-like fashion. She didn't sneak a cash in. She didn't pull a fast one on the champion and steal a title. This was straight up for a one-on-one match a la RVD and John Cena going back to the 2006 one-night stand. I don't know what they were thinking here. The match was fine. I'm not going to jump over fucking hoops to tell you this was the best women's match of the year or anything, but it was there. The outcome was incredibly lame. Athena tapped out, and her contract is now gone, and I feel like she's going to be banished back to the app. Like, I don't even know where we go from here, bro. I think Athena is better off than what we're doing here, and I don't see them really having any direction for Athena following Forbidden Door.
Well, they better not. I mean, they better not, banish her back behind the paywall because that would just be awful. She still is the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, so she's not going away from Ring of Honor. But she's been getting consistent television time on, TBS every week. That needs to continue. Even if she's not challenging for the World Championship, she can't just disappear. There's no excuse for that. That would just be awful. I didn't mind the act of her tapping out didn't bother me as much because I like the fact that Toni Storm has developed a finish other than Storm Zero. She has like multiple moves that she can beat people with, so I like that aspect of it. I just didn't expect Athena to win, and I told you this last week when we talked about this show on TNT. I said, look, there's only room for one belt collector in this division.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have Athena go out there and win the Women's World Championship, which Mercedes failed to do in Texas. And now she's got 2 titles, and you got Mercedes running around with 9 titles. Like, they're not doing that at the same time. It's just not going to happen. So the die was cast from the moment that she, said she was cashing in that contract. It just felt like a waste. And it was, but I hope that doesn't mean that she's banished because that would be awful. I mean, what would be the point then? Like, she's banished back to Ring of Honor to wrestle who exactly? To do what? I don't
know. I don't even know who's over there.
I don't know either. I mean, she beat Thunder Rosa in Texas, and so I don't know. I don't know. She's getting close to 1,000 days, right? She's not there yet, yeah. I don't think.
Yeah, she's getting close, yeah.
They're definitely going to hit that. I don't know what day that'll happen. But yeah, as far as like who she would drop that championship to, here's a better question. Does it even matter?
Dropping the Ring of Honor championship? No, it doesn't matter.
Is it going to matter? Whoever beats her to win the championship, is it even going to matter?
Well, we may be looking at Mina as the next challenger because she was out there. She helped Tony win this match.
If Mina Shirakawa is the one who beats Athena to win the championship. Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. The whole brand doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. So get her off that show and get her on Dynamite on a permanent basis.
I agree.
And Billy Starks, too, because Billy Starks is also very good.
Yeah, she's okay. More so Athena, in my opinion. But yeah.
Athena's far more experienced. I'm just saying, though, Billy Starks, as young as she is very good for her experience level.
I don't know how we go about that, but they got me worried going into Dynamite. Maybe we see her on Wednesday. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But Tony retained the championship. What Tony does from here, Jason, has a good idea. Jamie Hayter's a good direction. I felt like that could have been the direction going into All In, and then Athena and Mercedes at All In, but clearly they wanted the bigger of the matches for the division, and that's what we got. Maybe that's where we go from here. Maybe Athena and Mercedes is a possible direction. They're not really on good terms. They were forced to team up because they had common enemies, but maybe it is going to be Jamie and Tony, and then maybe Athena and Mercedes is the next two programs. I have no idea. I don't know. We'll see. Adam Page, MJF, World Championship match of the night by far. This was easily the best match of the night. Overbooked as shit, but it was the best wrestling match to me in the entire on the entire show, and I felt like this was the most emotional investment I had towards two guys in a match on this show. Now, I want to read this, being that this is very kind of in line with where I want to go with the discussion. We have this comment that Tony Khan made, and Athena lost hers to Tony. MJF still has his after cashing it in, and then they completely rewrote the entire script the following week and took back everything they did the week before, basically making the week's television, the week that he gave up his contract, completely useless. But he still has his contract even after losing this match. And Tony Khan made a major rule change to the Casino Gauntlet title shots that we're going to get every year. He says at the post-show media scrum, explaining the reasoning behind the new rule and the new change, he stated that the change is being made to add more integrity to the championships and to allow the company to promote its world title matches. He says, I want AEW to be different, and I've been listening to the feedback and to the voice of the fans, and I think people want championships in the sport of pro wrestling to have integrity. I don't want to have a big ticket championship match that we are unable to advertise, and I also don't really want to necessarily utilize a stipulation here that's being utilized other places. That's why going forward, I want to set that the tone from now on. I think the right thing to do is all contract execution should be on at least a week's notice so we can properly promote the matches. End quote. I think that is absolutely fucking ridiculous, bro. I think that's awful.
I think that's exactly what he needed to say. I don't know why it took him so long.
That's exactly what he needed to say.
What's awful? What's awful about it?
He ruins the whole fucking concept.
The concept sucks in the first place. The concept is overplayed.
Bro, it sucks because he didn't know how to fucking book the concept.
The concept, no. No, they copied Money in the Bank, which in and of itself is a played out concept. So I don't have an issue with somebody winning a title opportunity and then saying, okay, you want to activate it. You want to cash in, whatever terminology you want to use. You got to do it at least a week in advance so we can promote the match. Great. That differentiates it from Money in the Bank, so it's not just a carbon copy. And Money in the Bank is a played-out concept. The idea of people sneaking in when the match is over and cashing in. We've been seeing this shit now for 20 years. And it's so overdone. Now, there are ways to do it where it could be exciting and stuff, but it's just so overdone to me that him trying to differentiate it and saying, you know what, I've listened to fan feedback. There's been feedback I've gotten that says I don't like this and it shouldn't be this way. At least shows that he was receptive to the idea. I like this better than the way it was before because I didn't like the fact that they just adopted the way Money in the Bank was. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it like this in the first place where you had to, cash in with some advance notice? I could have sworn that it was like that.
No, he had 12 months. Christian had 12 months. Anytime within the first 12 months.
No, but I mean, like, if you were gonna, no, that was last year. But I don't know. I thought maybe 2 years ago, whatever, it worked that way where you would have to give some advance notice. I could have sworn, but like, I like it better that way. This way, it's not just Money in the Bank, which we see every fucking year. twice a year because they got men's and
So
women's.
let me ask you: does this now go into effect with MJF, who is a fucking slimy prick-like heel who's going to take the cheapest way out to win a match, and he's now gonna have to cash in like he did 2 weeks ago, and then they rescinded it last week, and
Well,
now he's back to do like I have to cash in now. Here's my 1 week notice, Hangman. Like really? They just killed the whole concept for him even having the contract now.
Why? He's got a championship match that he's going to be able to cash in on. What
But
difference does it make?
He can't use it in the way that we know he wants to use it.
Which is lame as shit. Lame as shit.
Bro, it's lame because they didn't give it to the right people. They gave it to Christian, who's already a made star. He's 50 years old. What the fuck are you giving him a contract for?
I don't care who they give it to.
MJF is already a made star.
If Christian cashed in the same way, it would have been just as fucking lame.
Why didn't they give it to a younger guy and have that younger guy? The whole spotlight is here's this young talent we're giving the contract to. This is going to be our next guy. That's what the Money in the Bank contract used to be. Why can't he go back and just kind of give us the same feelings that WWE gave us when they first introduced the Money in the Bank? He's basically saying to everybody, "Hey man, I fucked up." He didn't really say that. I fucked up, but I'm going to use the excuse of, yes, I listened to the fan base. Bro, you just killed the entire fucking gimmick to a point where I don't even want to see the gimmick.
We know that he's on social media probably multiple times a day, so we know that he solicits feedback and pays attention to what people are saying.
What is the difference here between winning the Owen and then winning the Gauntlet? They both get you the same thing.
Effectively. Well, no, that's not true, because when you win the Owen, you specifically get a championship match at All In, which is their big show of the year.
And then you win the Gauntlet matches and you get a championship match. And where does that happen?
You get a championship match whenever you want, as long as you give notice that you would like to invoke the contract. And Tony Khan will say, okay, next week, or maybe they want to do it at the pay-per-view. They're like, okay, we got Full Gear coming up. I want the shot against Hangman. And they're like, okay, you got the contract. You get your shot of Full Gear.
Bro, he ruined a get out of jail free card. He ruined the concept that he can have fun with, bro. Bro, this is basically them. This is basically them eliminating all creative, man, because they don't have a fucking creative bone in their body. That's what they did.
He made it creative bone in their body. Meanwhile, you had people saying, "Oh, you're just copying Money in the Bank. You're being as uncreative as you can be by stealing a WWE concept." So he's gonna get shit on either way for it. I think this is better. Maybe I'm just so sick of the Money in the Bank concept playing out exactly the same way 8 times out of 10 that I could appreciate that they're at least trying to put a little bit of a different spin on it. If they're going to do this contract shit, at least do something different. And also, by the way, if you are AEW, it kind of makes sense that you would want at least a week's notice to promote a big championship match for your show.
Who gives a fuck about promoting a match? I would rather the fucking moment than the shock cash-in.
Yeah, but a few weeks ago you were complaining that Tony Khan doesn't even announce any matches in advance for Dynamite. Now you're saying that who cares?
Yes, I want him to announce matches. I don't want him to announce a fucking contract match for a championship match and then ruin the whole fucking concept of the reason why it even exists.
The reason it exists is so everybody who wins the contract can ambush the champion. That's the reason why it exists.
Bro, this is why we have writing teams. Give me a reason to care about it.
The purpose of the Casino Gauntlet is to guarantee you a world championship match, not a world championship match after the champion wins and is tired. It guarantees you a championship match. So what you're saying is that everybody who cashes in the contract is a giant pussy who can only cash in after somebody is exhausted from the match that they just wrestled, and they have no faith in themselves that if they announce it in advance, well, then I'm not going to win. So, I mean, I'm fucked. Basically, if I give the guy a heads up that I want my title match, I'm fucked. I'm fine with it, dude. Like, it's better.
I get what you're saying, but they had 3 opportunities to have fun with it, and they failed on all 3. Christian fucked his up, Athena fucked his up, and MJF fucked his up. And then all the winners that they chosen were all the wrong winners. Like, you didn't even have fun with it. But that has
nothing to do with the change that he's making going forward.
But you didn't even have fun with it, though. Give it to Darby. Give it to Roosh. Give it to somebody, bro.
They couldn't give it to Darby because we didn't know if Darby was going to even come back. So, I mean, you got to give it to Darby.
Give it to fucking Kevin Knight or someone, man. Give me a reason to care about someone. Make them into a star.
I don't know about Kevin Knight, but like...
You know what I'm saying. Someone like that. A young talent.
Well, hopefully he'll do that from now on. I don't disagree with that, but like from now on, from this point forward, this is the change, and maybe next year he'll give it to somebody who's like not quite there yet, but like right on the cusp, and maybe that will be what puts them over the top.
All right, we'll see if that's the case. I don't mind that, but
it doesn't always work out that way. For example, Powerhouse Hobbs had a world championship opportunity on Dynamite earlier this year, and he felt like he was right there on the cusp, and then he just got beat. So it does. You got to be careful what you wish for. He may take somebody at that level and then just beat them and move on. So,
well, MJF lost here. Now he has to cash in his contract and give 1 week notice for his rematch against Hangman. This whole thing has just been convoluted with MJF. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking in those meetings. He had it, he gave it up, now he's got it back, and he gave Hangman the rules of the match he wanted, and he revoked his contract signing. It's a fucking mess, but this was great. Everything about this was great. Much better than their match at Revolution earlier this year. Now, this was, if Hangman gets disqualified or counted out, he loses the championship. And MJF did not need to cash in his contract. So he got a championship match just because. So there was a moment in this match, Jason, where MJF takes the timekeeper's table. Black cloth and all. He walks over to the aisleway on that side of the ring. He sets it up.
That was my favorite. It's my favorite thing because like the cloth is covering him.
He's like...
So...
He's just covered in it. He's like fucking. He's like one of them ghouls from fucking Lord of the Rings.
He's like a ghost. Like a ghost is carrying the table. I loved it. It was great.
So he's
unintentional comedy.
He's over there. He sets up the table in the aisleway, and then they start brawling on the apron. And all of a sudden, we see Adam Page do a dead eye off the apron through a table. And I said, shouldn't MJF be the world champion? People are arguing with me. Oh, it's not a disqualification. He didn't bring the table over there. I mean, he used the fucking table as a weapon. He put his opponent through the table, and it should be a disqualification. Now, I don't know what you thought of it. I know AEW referees are a little stu-nuts sometimes. They don't really follow the rules as they should be. Did you have a problem with that, or was that okay for the overbooking nonsense that we got in this match later on?
No, I mean, I said that was the first time out of 2 times in this match that MJF should have been the world champion.
Yes.
But then, you know, people point out, and look, it's a fair point, that how is that any different than any other main event on any other show, WWE or AEW, where somebody puts their opponent through the announce desk?
Sure.
My argument would be, first of all, number one, it's wrestling, so all this shit changes. There's no rule book, okay? There's no hard and fast rule. But I look at it as the person who introduced it, like he introduced it into the match by bringing it over and positioning it there to use as a weapon, and it's not part of the ring. I've had this debate with people before, like when they say, you throw somebody into the ring steps, how is that not a disqualification? They say, well, because it's part of the ring. That's the argument they use.
All right, I agree with that.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. If that's the argument, because it's part of the ring, then why is it that everybody who rips the turnbuckle pad off has to do so covertly so the referee doesn't see them, because they're going to ram their opponent's face into the exposed steel?
I don't know. I don't know about
the ring.
I don't.
It's the inconsistencies.
Yeah.
It's the inconsistencies of wrestling. I did look at it and go, okay, this is the first part of the match where MJF should have been the world champion, and he wasn't.
Yeah,
because there was a second part that came later on where he also should have been the world champion.
Yeah, that was towards the end of it. But this table here that he was driven through was still used because he tombstoned, I believe it was MJF who tombstoned Page onto the table, the table rubble. So that was also what followed there. And we'll pick it up towards the end here. This got really, really ridiculous. So MJF took out the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and now he's trying to goad Page into using it. MJF spat in Page's face. He yelled at Page to use the ring to get disqualified because at that point he'd win the title. So Page spits in MJF's face in a big one. I mean, it was fucking nasty in his face. MJF pulled Bryce Remsburg in his way from a buckshot. MJF shoved them into one another. It's a low blow. He didn't see it. Heat seeker. MJF made the cover. But the thing here is, man, this was peak comedy. Bryce Remsburg, he's like fucking twisting in his count, bro. He's like, jumping in the air as he's counting one. And every count, he's like moving away. His vantage point is getting smaller and smaller, and he's completely facing the other way. So he's making it seem like he knows his foot's on the rope, but he's trying to do everything in his power not to see the foot on the rope.
He's not even looking at the shoulders, though. Like he's not looking at anything. He's just looking down at the mat. Like, what is he doing?
I don't know. He's like twisting in the wind, man. He's like fucking counting away from the fucking shoulders being counted. And MJF obviously sees Page's foot on the rope. Bryce counts 3. He counts 3. No bell rings, though. That's the second part I'm assuming you're talking about, where MJF should now be a 2-time AEW World Champion. In this match alone, the bell didn't ring, but he did physically count 3. What'd you make of this nonsense before I get into how all this broke down with Mark Briscoe coming out?
Well, this was the worst part of the match here. I mean, it got into the point of absurdity here. But it was technically the second time in this match where MJF, and I'm sure he'll play this up on TV this week, where I should have been the world champion.
Twice?
I mean, yeah, twice. I pinned him. You didn't see it, but like I pinned him. So I'm sure that's going to be his excuse when we see him on Dynamite tomorrow night. I'm owed a rematch without cashing in my contract because I should have won the championship. I didn't. I was cheated. I deserve a rematch. That would be my argument if I were him. But just like you said, with Bryce and everything and trying to get into the right position to avoid seeing it, but like he was looking straight down at the canvas, and it just made the AEW referees, as they normally do, they made them look like complete idiots. So then it was like, okay, the match is going to continue now. And this is where it just veers into that overbooking territory where it just gets to the point of absurdity. It's like a TNA main event back in the day.
Yeah, this was this was crazy. Really, really overbooked. Mark Briscoe came out, and as that 3 count was made, but no bell rang, Briscoe came out. Bryce counted 3. Briscoe charged out. He was held off by security. He beat up the 3 geeks that came out, but the actual AEW security, those big motherfuckers that usually stand around ringside, they backed him off. And they
bigger than most of the tag teams in the company.
Yes,
should make them a tag team.
They were bigger than most of the pre-show put together, honestly. So MJF sees Briscoe out there. He turned back and saw Page's foot on the rope, and he tried to get there to take his foot off the rope before Bryce Remsburg seen it. And by the way, I forgot to mention Bryce, after making the count, passed out. I don't know what from, but he made the count and passed out. So he woke up. Go ahead.
I take back what I said before. This was the dumbest part of the match right here. I take back what I said.
He woke up just in time when MJF saw his foot on the rope to take the foot off the rope, and he called him in the nick of time. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, but like, dude, at least 90 seconds have gone by. So are we supposed to believe that Bryce said, wait a minute, his foot was on the rope during the attempted fall from like 2 minutes ago? Not like, oh, maybe he put his foot on the rope after the fact. Oh, his foot's on the rope. Therefore, no. Like, just, it didn't work.
No.
I know what they were going for. It didn't work. It was stupid. It was just completely absurd. And then that fed into just to speed things up. It fed into the finish where MJF used the contract case, which he fucking blasted him. I mean, it made such a sound like a gunshot went off. Hit him in the head with it, and that didn't work. And then in the end, what ended up happening was that Hangman was able to use the contract case as a weapon on MJF, blasted him in the head, then dropped him with the Deadeye, and then finished him off with the buckshot. And everybody was very happy, and that was one of the more noticeable things here. These people love Hangman. So when he won, they all exploded. They were so happy to see Hangman win this match, and it was a great reaction. And so it ended the way that I think both of us thought it would. I don't know that either one of us had MJF winning the championship here. But just how we got there was quite ridiculous. And having said all of that, I will still sit here and tell you that I thought this was the best match on the entire show, despite all of the nonsense that we just talked about.
No, I agree. Do we go and get MJF cashing in his contract now under the new rule of Tony Khan with his contract, and we get this rematch happening at All Out in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the likely scenario. I mean, who the hell else would he defend the title against at All Out if not MJF?
I don't know.
Right? That story is still active. So, yeah, I think that's exactly where we're headed.
Great match, overbooked as hell, but Hangman retains the championship. Bryan Danielson removed himself from commentary because Jon Moxley was coming out and he didn't want to be out there. Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Kenny Omega, who was not on TV in the build towards this match. Kota Ibushi in this match. Found out on social media he was even here. And Hiroshi Tanahashi, who moved a lot better here than he did on Wednesday. Jon Moxley, Claudio, Gabe Kidd, the Young Bucks, lights out steel cage match. You did say that this was going on last. I didn't want to believe it, but that's how these matches usually end up. But I actually, you know what, Jason? I never seen one of these war dog matches in New Japan. I know you mentioned that it was probably going to be this way last week when we were here. I actually very much like this setup. I think this cage looks great. I would love if more companies utilize this type of deal because I'm tired. Like, you're tired of the Money in the Bank contract with WWE and the stupid cash-ins and nothing's changed for 20 years. I hate traditional steel cage matches and the way these companies book them. I thought this was, from an aesthetic standpoint, really fucking cool.
Yeah, it looked great. I mean, they had to do it this way because how the hell are you going to have these 10 guys in one ring if the cage is contained to just the ring? So they had to widen it a little bit and give them some more space. And yeah, visually it looked great. Now the cage wasn't that high. I didn't mind it really. I mean, it was high enough, but it wasn't like super like some of these AEW cages. Like when Will Ospreay wrestled Kyle Fletcher, like the cage is fucking humongous. Like it's the tallest regular cage I've ever seen. It's like 20 feet tall. So it wasn't like that. But yeah, I mean, aesthetically, I thought it looked good. And then once the bell rang, it was just pure chaos. I felt like I was watching Anarchy in the Arena again. Contained to a cage.
Yeah. Yeah, this was
like I had just seen this a few months ago.
Yeah, this was fun. I mean, I didn't care as to why this was happening, but this was a good watch. They had a great video package of Ospreay. Alex Windsor narrated it. His fiance, really good stuff there. Really hyped up Ospreay. This is his last match for now. The Young Bucks came out to Mbop by Hanson, which everybody in the ring kind of popped for.
That was great. Although I did say like you sprung for Hanson. But you couldn't spring for Nigel's old Ring of Honor theme?
I don't know.
Oasis? Come on, man.
Yeah, he's usually good at that. I don't know why he didn't do that.
But I popped for this. I thought this was great. And then seeing their reaction to it, that's why I want them to continue doing this. Like torturing the Bucks every week is like a guaranteed bit of pleasure that I've been getting on these shows. It's consistently entertaining.
There were a couple of highlights in this match. One of them being the gummy.
You were a fan of that song, weren't you? Back in your
Mbop?
Middle school or high school days? Yeah, you were probably bopping around to that song.
No Mbop in this household. No.
Nah, I don't know about that. I have a feeling you were bopping your head to it just like everybody else was.
I don't know. What is your guilty pleasure when it comes to music? Anything outside the genre that you usually listen to?
I listen to mostly all genres. I'm not like a big country fan. There are country songs that I like, but country is probably the one I have the least of in my playlist. But I have stuff from 70s, 80s, 90s, rock, pop, like fucking industrial. I mean, Euro, trance. Like I mean, seriously, like synthwave. Retro wave, there's one called Vaporwave. Like I just run the gamut. But for me personally, like I'm big on like 80s and rock.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a guilty pleasure outside my comfort zone. Probably synthwave would probably be that.
That's what they'd be guilty about with synthwave.
Yeah, no.
Synthwave's awesome.
Yeah, I know. If there was a rock band, I'd say is my guilty pleasure. It'd probably be old school Papa Roach, I would say.
All right.
There were a couple of spots in this match that were really entertaining, Jason. Outside the intro here for the Young Bucks, the gummy bear spot is something that everybody seemingly enjoyed. I know Jesse loved it because he was watching with his kids and they popped for it. I thought that was pretty entertaining. And I said, you know, on that mat with 10 other guys in there, eating food like gummy bears with that texture and consistency off the floor, all that dirt and germs and all that stuff, man, that's pretty brutal there. You know,
dude. Okay.
Imagine getting a hair on a gummy bear, bro. It's nasty.
Dude, you're talking about a company where they spit on each other. They fucking like they drink each other's blood. Like, why are you shocked by this?
I'm not, man. I'm not. There's just some things, man, that I just don't understand. It's like,
I mean, come on now.
I don't know. Yes, you are correct, but I thought that was humorous. The other big spot was Ospreay diving off the cage. Amidst his injuries, he didn't really care. He did a big tornado dive, or a big moonsault, rather, off the top onto everybody else. That was really cool. And then the other spot was Gabe Kidd and Darby Allin. There were tables set up on the outside of the cage, and they were on top of the cage. So Darby raked Gabe Kidd's eyes, and they fall through the tables, and Gabe Kidd took a nasty fucking fall where he splat on the mat outside. Pretty brutal. But it was the baby faces here, surprisingly, Jason, that got the victory. I thought the heels were going to win. I thought this was fun. The ending, now, I know you watch a different way than I do. I watch on Verizon through traditional cable. I had the feed cut off as Ospreay was waving goodbye. I thought they were going off the air with a happy ending, which I thought that they would. I took a nap immediately after the show was over. I went live around 8 o'clock. You went live around 8:30. So I needed to get a nap in and recharge myself. And then when I wake up from my nap, I see that the ending was not the ending that I got. I thought they just cut because they ran out of time. They had to be off at a certain time. But Ospreay got his ass handed to him. The Death Riders beat him up, and the baby faces were out there trying to get into the cage. Now, I saw this clip on social media, and a couple of things I noticed, and I know you noticed the same thing. Number one, Marina Shafir got in the cage by climbing up to the top and over the cage. Then the baby faces come out, and they're not just the baby faces that win the match. We had the ops out there. They were like 9, 10 deep out there, and they're banging on the fucking cage. Let me in! Let me in! And like, bro, none of them decided to climb the cage. Meanwhile, we just saw Marina Shafir climb the cage. Get in the fucking cage and help this guy.
So I think my favorite part was, if you watch, Powerhouse Hobbs starts to climb the cage, and then he just stops and climbs back down and starts banging on the cage. It's just...
Bro, I mean, if you have 9
said,
guys, bro, climbing the cage, you don't think they'll be able to overcome those numbers?
Of course they can. And I understand that Darby was, he was knocked a little loopy on that last bump, although he was well enough to, go into the cage when the match was over and shake hands or whatever, bump fists with Ospreay. But I made somebody made the comment. I'm like, Darby, he can climb mountains, but he can't climb a fucking cage. Like, what's going on here? Like, and dude, the comments that I got, and I continue to get, you conveniently forget. Intentionally, you leave out the fact that Wheeler Yuta was there and he had a kendo stick, so he was keeping them at bay. And I'm like, for all the baby faces that you have out there, and I understand Tanahashi has the jelly knees, so I mean, he shouldn't be climbing into bed, let alone climbing a cage. But again, you got Omega, you got Ibushi, who's... Dude, this video of Ibushi running himself like a battering ram into the side of the cage and knocking himself out. Like, this was like a cartoon. Like, what is going on here? And the cage wasn't even that high. Again, it wasn't one of their high cages. My thing was, it was an awful look because outside of maybe at some point somebody maybe tried to climb and they were holding him off with the stick, nobody looked like they were even attempting to climb or go to the other side and try to climb. And the example I used was, I just got done watching a few weeks ago on the Vault channel. They uploaded Brett and Owen Hart in the cage at SummerSlam. And do you remember when the match was over, what happened? All of the Hart family members, because Brett got locked in the cage, Anvil padlocked the door shut, and him and Owen were kicking Brett's ass inside the cage. And all the Hart family members that were in the front row, the whole fucking family was out there. And Bulldog was out there. And they're all trying to climb in on all sides. And they keep getting knocked off, but they're trying to climb in. Eventually, they make their way in. That looked like a realistic situation where you would think, okay, these family members are trying to get in to save Brett.
Yeah, but back in the day, you had those big square openings in the cage. You could just like kick or punch through the cage. Here, you couldn't.
Yeah, but so what? My point is, nobody was even really attempting to get into the cage. And I had people in my mentions telling me, yeah, well, if Wheeler Yuta hits you in the fingers with a kendo stick, you're not going to be able to climb. I go, first of all, Powerhouse Hobbs would take that kendo stick and shove it so far up Wheeler Yuta's ass, he would be a fucking puppet. Okay, that's number one. But it looked comically awful. They're standing there banging, let us in. Like, dude, just try to climb the fucking cage. And if you're not having luck on that side because you're terrified of Wheeler Yuta, go around to the other side. You got a bunch of you out there.
It reminds me of that fucking gif on Twitter. Let me in. The guy's fucking grabbing the cage or whether the fence he can't get in. Oh my God, man.
It was
so
awful.
Bad.
It was awful. And meanwhile, Ospreay is being, assassinated inside the ring. They did the same thing to him here that they did to him at All In Texas. So it was the same exact thing, chair around the neck.
Yeah, but that was my next question for you. My next question for you: Did this need to happen? Like we all knew he was going away. Why did we need to beat him up?
There's a theory that they were setting up for when Will Ospreay returns. The championship may get put back on Jon Moxley before then, and then Ospreay can beat Moxley to get his revenge.
You can fuck right off with that comment.
I know. I mean, that would be fucking ridiculous. But that they looked at it. Really, what they did was they just wanted to put more heat on Moxley in the heels. I think ultimately that's why they did what they did. They're like, Ospreay's leaving, so we just got to put more heat on the heels. I look at it and I say, okay, you already had Ospreay go out there on TV and announce, because this did not get the kind of heat that I think they were expecting it to get. It's not like the boos were raining down upon them and they got like this mega heat. They really didn't. And for a lot of it, it sounded like the crowd was kind of apathetic towards what they were watching. And I think it's because they already knew he was leaving.
Yes.
He told us on TV he's going to be going away. You didn't have to do this. If you wanted to put heat on the heels, have the heels win. And then you could have Ospreay at the end when he finally gets up and he's licking his wounds and he's all sad because he feels like he let everybody down. But he gets that send-off where he can walk off on his own 2 feet. But let the heels win then. If it's so important to put heat on the heels, let them fucking win.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said on Sunday. I'm like, this entire post-match attack did not need to happen. Like the whole reason why everybody was apathetic and indifferent towards it is because they wanted their guy to stand tall. Like everybody knew he was going away. He said so. Like you didn't need to tell me via an attack he's going away. I didn't understand any of this. From the comical way that they couldn't get into the cage to the beatdown. I don't know. This was fun, but man, there was some really, really just strange decisions as far as a booking perspective and the way these matches turned out on Sunday night. But all in all, that concludes the Forbidden Door this year. Again, I'm not really too enthralled with the concept, but this is not going away. Tony knows he could get 19,000 by going back to the United Kingdom every year, so why not? So it's going to be a thing from this point on. But I don't know where you want to go from here.
Well, let's go into the big story.
The big story. This deplorable story here of KnokX Pro Wrestling Academy, and this terrible situation that happened with Rampage Jackson, his son Raja Jackson. I know I have talked about it. I've made comments on social media. I made a video on it. Have you seen the majority of the clips that have been posted on social media, leading from his arrival there to what had happened with Syko Stu and when he sat down ringside before he jumped into the ring and did what he did? Did you see everything, how it played out on social media?
I think I've seen the key stuff.
Yeah,
because there's been so many clips floating around, but I think the key stuff I've seen most of it.
So the way this all started, from what I've seen, is a lot of people are placing the blame on Raja Jackson for what he did, which is obvious. But how did we get to a point where that was allowed to happen? There was a lot of things that happened before that. The first thing that I saw was Syko Stu and Raja Jackson. It looked like behind the building of the show that they were doing. And it looked like he was streaming. Raja Jackson, all this entire conversation was him streaming on Kick. I don't know in front of how many people. He's got an audience over there. He was live streaming this entire thing. Why he was there, I don't know. But he was there with Syko Stu, and it looked like they were shooting an angle. And Syko Stu apparently did not know who he was, if he was a pro wrestler, why he was there. He takes a beer can, and I believe Syko Stu was drinking before Raja showed up there. So they get into something. It's being filmed on Kick, and he takes the beer can and he smashes the beer can over Raja Jackson's head. Now, it looked to be a volatile situation there. The next clip I saw was Stu realizing what is going on here, who he is, and they apologized and they talked. I saw Stu sitting down and Raja was standing up looking at him, and it looked like they had shaken hands and everything was okay. He understood why they did what they did. I thought looking at this was all part of the show and that this was going to lead into his inclusion in the match, that this was all a work. Apparently, people were telling me it's not, and he didn't know that this beer can shot was coming. So the next thing that we see is him shaking his hand. He goes into the building, and then we see this cowboy guy whose name is AJ Mana. He apparently knows Raja Jackson, and he's backstage, and he's telling Raja, you got to go get your receipt. Go get your receipt when you go out there. Now, I don't know why he's taking it upon himself, whether you know him or not, or how long you know him, to tell him, first of all, use terminology that pro wrestlers use for someone who's not a pro wrestler. Like, you know, a receipt to a pro wrestler means, all right, I'll give him a couple of stiff shots and have it be the end of it. You tell someone like this who is a trained MMA or trained to be an MMA fighter, go get your receipt. What the fuck you think he's going to think? He's going to go in there.
Not only is he not a pro wrestler, apparently he's not even a fan. He doesn't follow it.
No.
He doesn't know anything about it. He's just a total layman who was invited to the show by this guy for some reason. Probably because he's the son of someone famous and has no clue what any of this stuff means. Nothing. He's just coming into it completely blind.
Yeah, he didn't know what that terminology meant. So to him, it probably meant something a lot worse than what we think of it as. So AJ is there telling, go get your receipt. And I questioned, who the fuck are you to tell him, who's not even a part of the business, who shouldn't even be at this show, go do what you got to do in his match? You don't have the power to do that. Number one, I don't understand why that was even said. First of all, that. Secondly, where are the people booking this show? Who's in charge here? Like, who's putting this show together? Why is he backstage? Like, I don't understand this. Why is nobody there physically monitoring what's going on? You'd think if he comes in with his crew and he's live streaming, you'd think he'd have some management there. Every indie show that I see the promoter walking around or people who are in charge walking around. So that happened. And then we see the clip where he's sitting at ringside and he's literally live on stream. And I have some of the quotes here. He says, this is, and I apologize if this is too much for somebody, but I'm going to read to you exactly what he said on stream. I'm going to really have to show him that you just can't fucking hit me in the goddamn face. I'm really going to hit him. I'm telling you, I'm dead serious. This is not going to be scripted. I'm telling you. He's reading his chat on his phone while he's watching Stu in the match. And he's at ringside just being goaded by his chat to go in there and physically harm this guy for real. I know I'm wrestling in the script. I'm telling you what I'm going to do to the guy. I'm tired of motherfuckers playing with me, bruh, he says. Real shit. I'm tired of everybody fucking clowning me and thinking that I'm always playing, calling me a bitch and shit. And he goes on and on and on. And he says that I've always wanted to harm a pro wrestler in real life. And he made comments like that he was going to go in there and really beat the shit out of a pro wrestler. I've always wanted to do that, things along those lines. So he gets into the ring, and he takes Stu down with what looks to be, if I could describe it to you, a spine buster, MMA-style takedown. And he mounts him, Jason, and he punches him not once, not twice, not to get a receipt. Once would have been enough. And I don't even know if he got knocked out with the takedown. Some people were saying he got knocked out by the takedown. He punched him over 24 times in what I looked at the morning I woke up on Sunday in one of the most horrific things I've seen in quite a while. It took 20 punches, bro, for somebody to get in there and physically take this guy off of Stu. The referee was there, looked in shock. He must have been frozen in fear, not knowing what to do, but he just looked on as this was happening. Everybody else in the ring looked on as it was happening. Then we finally got some guy named Doug who wrestled on the show a little bit before this. He physically gets in there, and he was on this podcast last night, and he detailed exactly what was going on. Raja was being pulled off by him, and he was actually trying to fight Doug, and it just got blown up into something that should have never even fucking happened. And then Raja, he leaves the building. He's still live streaming. He's walking around outside. He gets in his car. He's still live streaming. He's on the phone with his people talking about, nobody's going to fuck with me. I'm going to show them. His father's also live streaming. Bro, they're still live streaming this after he almost attempted to murder somebody in the middle of the ring. The first thing should have been, let's shut the stream off. I'm done streaming. But he continued doing it to farm engagement and stream in front of his audience. And now we're at a situation where the cops are getting involved. The LAPD is getting involved. I don't know how far that is along. But now we hear stories that KnokX Pro Wrestling Academy is telling its employees and the people that work there and train there, do not cooperate with the police. And that's what we found out on this podcast with Doug, who saved Stu from any further harm. I'll stop there because I have comments from Mark Henry and RVD and others about this situation. This was one of the worst things I've seen in quite a while, bro. And I don't know how you feel about it, but from his comments, sitting at ringside, this was absolutely, in my honest opinion, premeditated murder. I'm going to say, I thought he was out there to fucking kill the guy, bro. I don't know how you felt about it, seeing it all play out over the last 48 hours. Let me know how you're feeling. Let's get into this.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. Ever. Like, he wasn't just punching him. He was punching him as hard as he possibly could. And it was clear as day. I mean, I'm sitting here watching it on my phone, and there are people who were in the ring, who were there live, who are seeing the exact same thing. And I'm, like you said, I'm sure there's this feeling of just shock and awe at first. But then it just takes forever for someone to finally, intervene here. Had they not, he would have continued punching him. He would have killed him. Like, he would be dead right now. I'm shocked he's not dead. Thankfully he's not. But he would have just kept doing it. And so you would think that, like, him making all the comments that he made on video, like, he was sitting in the front row making those comments about, I always wanted to, knock out a pro wrestler or punch out a pro. It seems like he's making it awfully easy for the authorities. Like, you couldn't make it any easier if you tried, right? Not the brightest bulb in the box here. I have seen, I think for the most part, I would like to think that for the most part, most people are in agreement here that he should be locked up. Like, period, end of story. There are people who feel like, well, he had it coming because of the beer can thing, or, because he thought it was part of the show. And because I believe it started out as, okay, he's going to get in the ring and take the guy down. Like that, people are using that as an excuse to say, oh, it was a work, though. It was a work. No, it wasn't a work. Him getting into the ring and taking him down with a double leg or whatever it was that he did, sure, right? The idea was that he would come in and do something. Once he dropped him on the mat, it looked to me like he was already concussed, like he was already out of it. He slammed him down hard on the mat. Like, that probably would have been enough, honestly. But then came all of the punches, and it was barbaric, is what it was. And I think it was, not only was it shocking, but like, you have other wrestlers who were watching this, and we're hearing all these stories now about this guy Stu, and he's a veteran who only wrestles because it helps him with his PTSD and all of this, and that's a sad story, but it almost is completely irrelevant here. Whether or not he's a veteran, whether or not he has PTSD, whether or not his name is Stu, like, all of that is completely irrelevant, because what you see on that video is plain as day attempted murder. And the fact that he didn't actually murder him, to me, doesn't make it any less egregious. It's attempted murder. He belongs behind bars. They should put him under the jail. And I think his father probably knows what's coming. I saw some video clip, and I don't know when this was from, if this was from today or yesterday, where I think they're at home. I don't know if you saw this clip where Rampage is at home talking to his son, and someone's filming them. And Rampage is talking like, you can almost hear it in his voice, like he knows some bad shit's about to happen probably to his son. And then they cut over to Raja, who's on the video, and just the way he's talking, it's almost like I don't think he fully grasps the trouble that he's in.
Is that the clip that you saw where he blamed the cameraman and didn't take accountability for what he did in the ring? That's fucking ridiculous. Yes. Blaming the fucking cameraman to stop filming, he said. Stop filming. Yeah. You should have stopped filming. You fucking kidding me?
So let's put that to bed right now. Whether you are Raja, whether you are another wrestler, because I've heard some wrestlers with some fucking horrendous takes. Absolutely. Seriously, I go back to the Big Damo quote where some wrestlers are just fucking stupid. Truly, there are some very dumb professional wrestlers out there. Some of them are very bright. Some of them are very bright people. I even know some of them. There are some very intelligent pro wrestlers, and then there are some absolute fucking brain-dead idiots out there. And you are, in some cases, seeing it seep through. Or maybe it's the CTE. I don't know. How can you be a pro wrestler? Like, right now we're talking about this as people who watch the video. We're fans, obviously. If you're a pro wrestler, I don't see how you can look at this situation and offer any kind of excuse for what he did, or in any way say, okay, I can understand why he blew up because his face was buried in the chat and the chat was egging him on and rage baiting him. That may well be true. It is no excuse for what he did. And your first response should be the same, which is that he needs to be punished for what he did and he needs to be thrown in prison. And if that isn't your first response to this, then shame on you, especially if you're a pro wrestler. There is no defense of what happened here. Are there other people who played a role in this and were responsible for what happened? Sure, including the guy who brought him to the show. And I've someone said before that he may have been the one promoting the show. I don't know if that's true or not.
Why, AJ Mana?
Possibly. That maybe that night he was promoting. Again, I don't know. Somebody in the chat mentioned that before. Apparently, now we should mention, this is Rikishi, a promotion that Rikishi is tied to. Rikishi wasn't there that night. Evidently, I don't think he was, I may not have had any knowledge of this at all.
Well, we don't know who was running the show.
Regardless, their WWE ID designation, because they were a WWE ID affiliate, has been stripped, as it should have been.
Yes.
So that had to happen. But again, you look at this situation, and there are people who, you mentioned AJ Mana in that video of him talking to Raja in the back and telling him about a receipt and all this. And did you see his initial response to this where he said he was just in character?
Yes.
When he said that.
You weren't in character, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
He's so full of shit. He's trying to cover his ass now because I think he realizes he may be in some trouble too.
Well, he disabled his comments on his Instagram too, so yeah.
Well, probably a good idea to keep your mouth shut right now if you're him. So no, he wasn't in character, and that was a fucking stupid thing for him to say. So, he also is, bears some responsibility here for what happened. But like, there are people who are actually like blaming the victim in this case because like the beer can thing, and they conveniently leave out the part, and this is also on video, where evidently he didn't realize that he wasn't a wrestler or wasn't in on things, and he actually apologized to him. And not only did he apologize to him, but and it seemed a sincere apology. He apologized multiple times, and then Raja accepted his apology.
Yes.
So at that point, it felt like, okay, it was a misunderstanding. He apologized like a man. He accepted the apology, and it seemed like everything was on the up and up, and he still went out there and did what he did.
Yeah, because he got egged on by that fucking cowboy.
Well, the cowboy, the live chat, I gotta be a man. Yeah. It's some fucking bullshit ego pride thing. I don't know if he's trying to make himself look good for his father. There's something going on there in his head, and he wasn't quite right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And people talking about, well, he's young and he's a kid. He's 25 fucking years old. He's an adult. He knows the difference between right and wrong. There is no excuse. There's no justification for what you see in that video. It is barbaric. It is animalistic. There's no scenario where you can look at that and say, well, it's understandable. His life wasn't in danger. He wasn't defending himself. This was not an act of self-defense. This was an act of self-sabotage, which is what it was. And maybe he may have just ruined the rest of his life, but that's on him. And so he should be locked up. I assume the police, they're taking their time. They're interviewing people. They got plenty of video evidence here. Again, they made it very easy for them. They not only have the incident, they have all of the comments from him himself. So it's not like he just suddenly snapped in the moment. Like you said, premeditated. He's openly talking about, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do. It's all right there. He's fucked. This guy is fucked.
No, I want to know also. I mean, not that I don't want to place blame on Stu, but you would have to wonder who's overseeing the show, because I don't think it's proper for if you're a pro wrestling school that's got a WWE ID affiliation tag to it, that you have talent outside the building before the show drinking alcohol. Number one, why was that even allowed to happen? Like, why was there open cans of alcohol there when you know you're getting ready to perform? That's a huge no. So who allowed that to happen?
Well, the promotion allowed it to happen because there was nobody there overseeing the situation. So that's on the promotion itself as a whole. I mean, that's just a complete fuck up on their part. Again, they deserve to have their ID designation stripped. So I agree with that move 100%. And if you're WWE, how can you be affiliated with them after something like
Never,
this?
never. I don't give a shit what Rikishi is to your company
Doesn't
or
matter.
not. No.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And Rikishi has every right to be pissed at the people who were present that night who helped facilitate this entire thing. So that had to happen. And WWE was, of course, always going to distance themselves from this situation because this is making national headlines here.
Yes, he got picked up by everybody.
But at the end of the day, what we saw there in that video was an act of attempted murder. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. And so now we wait to see what the consequences of that is going to be. And also we wait to find out what the health update is. Because I know Stu is in the hospital. There's been a lot of conflicting reports.
Doug, I got comments from Doug who gave an update on his status.
Yeah, and it's not great because, again, it turns to the brutality of what we saw there and what was done to him. Multiple facial fractures. He was laying in the ring. The guy was choking on his own blood and teeth.
Yep.
It's like I said before, if nobody finally stepped in, and it took too long for them to step in, but this would have continued until he was just gone. And then they would have had a much bigger problem on their hands. But everybody who had a hand in allowing him into the building, allowing him into the ring, riling him up. I mean, there are multiple people who you can say, help kind of drive him to that point. But at the end of the day, he's an adult. Like I said, he knows the difference between right and wrong. And he went out there with the intent to severely injure this man. If this had happened in the middle of the street as opposed to a wrestling ring, he probably would already be locked up. But that's what this was. This was an act of attempted murder. And so the only question now should be, how severe is the sentence and the punishment going to be? Because anything else to me would be an absolute fucking injustice. And then I have to go and I have to read these dumbass comments and see these clips from some of these people, these wrestlers that have chimed in with these takes that just absolutely blow my mind.
I got them here.
Absolutely blow my mind, because you would think, as somebody who is in that fraternity and somebody who is in the wrestling business, where you are giving your body every single night to somebody, you're putting your trust in that other person who's also a trained wrestler, you would hope, that they're going to protect you and that you're going to be able to leave the ring as you entered it that night. And in this case, this wasn't even a wrestler. This was a total outsider who came in and didn't know anything from anything, but was allowed in and then did what he did. And your first, and again, and I know you're going to mention RVD and you're going to mention his quote.
Yep.
But like the way that RVD, did you see the way RVD previewed?
Yes, the way he hyped up his podcast. I got Raja's back. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I got Raja's back, and then on his show he goes off and and you'll say what he mention what he said, but like then he tries to like explain what he meant by that, but like reeling you in with the hook, like, oh, I've got his back, that'll get me some views here. It's disgusting. It really is, and that may be, to me, the thing that really kind of disgusted me the most. I mean, other than what actually happened on the video, was having wrestlers, and name wrestlers too, veteran wrestlers who you would think would know better, in any way, shape, or form, like defending what happened here or putting it on Stu or taking any position other than the one that I just mentioned, which should be the first thing out of their mouth. And anything else is just, to me, completely unacceptable. But go ahead. I know you're going to mention the comments that they...
Yeah, well, Rampage, he came off with a quote, and he almost came off... he tried to be sympathetic, but it just sounded like he was more upset with what his son's kick channel is going to be, and the fact that he may lose his kick sponsorship or his kick affiliation. So fuck him. But on the Scaling Up podcast, there was a screenshot, allegedly from a KnokX Academy Pro employee named Kevin Thomas. The messages instruct students to please refrain from engaging in comment sections on social media posts about this tragedy and don't contact any law enforcement if they reach out. Now, I don't think that's even necessary because everything is already on fucking film, so the police could see exactly what happened and what was said. But the fact that you're telling people about don't engage with the police, like, what kind of message did that fucking send? What are you trying to hide? What don't you want out there? The fucking guy was almost killed in the middle of the ring. You talk to the police. If they ask you questions, you answer everything and anything that they ask you. Number one. Number two, what Jason said, Doug said he did have facial bones broken. He was choking on his own blood. He lost most of his teeth, he said. He was out from the slam, and the guy made contact multiple times. So he ran in, and without Doug, he might not even be here right now. So there were some comments made, and the first one we'll talk about here is from Rob Van Dam. I got Raja's back. And then he goes on to hype up his podcast, One of a Kind, and he says we'll talk about it tomorrow. Today, he clarified what was going on, and he says, best wishes to fucking Syko Stu Smith. Hopefully he will regain his health and do it quickly. If you thought that me saying that was somehow hypocritical because my text said I got Raja's back, then you are one of the basic thinkers that can't understand how those can both be true in the same universe. I'm not picking a side with that post. If I did, I'm not even saying that it would be Raja. I'm not saying that this guy Stu deserved what happened to him by saying I got Raja's back. What I'm saying is I see the pathway that he took that led to what happened. And that's, he goes on to say that it shouldn't have been part of this at all, or Raja shouldn't have been a part of this at all. Jason, I don't know what planet you're from, but when you read I got Raja's back, I don't know however you want to think about it. The only way I think about it is you're agreeing and siding with what he did. So I don't even know why the fuck you would even think it's anything else but that.
Yeah, and and when you watch the video, he wasn't, just like in the camp of Raja and agreeing with what he did, obviously, because that would be ridiculous. But the way it was framed, and then I did see part of the video that he posted. But obviously when he posted that teaser there, that got a lot of people amped up. And then of course it fed into the comments that we heard from Mark Henry today, because he chimed in on the situation as well. I think it might've been TMZ. And I don't have the comments in front of me. Maybe you do. But he had his own perspective and his own take on the situation as well.
Yeah. Mark Henry was interviewed by TMZ. He began attributing the incident to a lack of experience and proper training. I disagree there. The guy shouldn't even been in the fucking ring or in the building to begin with. It has nothing to do with lack of experience or proper training. So that's what happens when people are not experienced to our business, Mark Henry says, and you have to be fully educated. You got to be fully trained. I don't know the full story, but I do know what I saw, and it looked like he wasn't smart to what was going on. And the dude that was messing with him bit off more than he can chew. Henry was clear that in his assessment that Syko Stu, as the veteran in the situation, was primarily at fault, especially if reports of him drinking before the show are accurate, which is why I asked. I don't know why that's even being allowed, and who's there monitoring this show and in charge of the show, why that was happening. What kind of example are you as a veteran for messing around with the kid, Henry questioned. If indeed what I saw was what I saw, which is people before the show during the daytime drinking and intoxicated, and you bust a bottle over a guy's head. It was a can, by the way. It wasn't a bottle. And trash talk like that guy was not going to do nothing. Yeah, you're at fault. He also goes on to use the incident to make a broader point about the culture of professional wrestling, stating that the old school mentality of hazing and disrespecting younger talent is no longer acceptable in the modern era. The hazing days, the corny bullshit days are over with. Every one of these journeyman guys that get drunk before the show and sit around and talk shit to all the younger kids and tell them how the old days were, that over with, because the guys that's coming in are former MMA guys or college students like my son, people that's in entertainment and have other walks of life, and you can't act like, corny bullshit to these guys and girls. He concluded by saying that such incidents are rare in today's wrestling world and that the fallout from this situation will likely be served as a cautionary tale for a long time. The only thing that I agree with him there, Jason, is the fact that some of the guys were drinking before the show, which has to highly be in question here. Outside that, what did you think of Mark Henry's statement here today?
Well, it was the part where it's like, he's mentioning the bottle again. It was a can.
Yeah.
But this idea that he's not going to do nothing, so you're at fault. I go back to what I said before. There is no excuse for what you saw in that video. Now, if they're in the parking lot before the show and he hits him in the head with a can, and this guy has no idea what's going on because nobody kind of smartened him up to it, and Stu had no idea that he wasn't a wrestler, and again, he apologized right after that. But if Raja was going to do anything, like if Raja would have like decked him in the face on the spot and like knocked him down on the ground with like a punch because he just got hit in the head with a can, I think people would have a different perspective on the situation. Like, you just hit me, I hit you back, and now we're even, that kind of thing. I don't think we would be having this conversation right now.
No.
We're talking specifically about what we saw on that video, which was hours later, after the apologies, by the way, hours later, and what we saw on that video, that savage attack, that was very, very different. I mean, it's like you hear the expression, boy, that escalated quickly. Yeah, that escalated to a point that like on no planet is that acceptable. But people talk about this stuff like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You know, we hit him in the head with a can. And so, hey, it's almost like, well, you should have seen it coming. Like it comes off as if you are making excuses for what happened, or you feel like, well, you know, yeah, maybe he did the wrong thing. But like, I don't hear him saying, oh, he should be prosecuted for what he did. I don't hear him saying, oh, he should be locked up for what he did. It comes across as if you're making excuses. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that. There's no excuse for what is seen on that video. And your eyes don't lie to you. Like, it's all right there in front of your face.
No,
it's
your eyes and your ears don't lie to you, because he said exactly what he said. And then he went and did exactly what his chat told him to do.
Well, that's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing. It was not commensurate with what we saw there in the parking lot hours earlier before the show. And to our knowledge, there was nothing else that happened in the hours in between that would have, necessitated that kind of attack. So it was completely out of proportion to what we saw in the earlier video. And there is a price that has to be paid here, honestly, because if not, what does that mean for the next time that somebody wants to go ahead and get their licks in on a wrestler, at a wrestling show? Like, how do you watch what we watched in that video and then no action would be taken? Like, I can't imagine that that's going to happen here. So I'm sure, we'll just wait to see what the LAPD has to say about this. In the meantime, he's walking around and, going on with his life, probably not for much longer before they get a hold of him. And that's the way it should be. And anybody else who had a hand in kind of egging him on, anybody who worked there who maybe had a hand in egging him on, I would sit here and tell you that they should be blackballed from the business. But we've seen people who you would think would be blackballed from wrestling, and then they're welcomed back with open arms. I mean, I covered a story on the podcast a few years ago. There was a wrestler down in Mexico who threw a fucking cinder block at somebody's head during a match, like a real cinder block.
And it wasn't a planned thing. It was just legit an attempt at hurting somebody for real. Yeah,
I mean, he hit him in the head with a cinder block, and it's like, holy shit, who would ever want to work with this guy again? No, he worked again after that. Because it's wrestling.
That's ridiculous.
Because it's wrestling. And there will always be riffraff in the wrestling business, especially if you're somebody who can draw money. There will always be a spot for you somewhere on the card, almost regardless of what you've done. Nobody is ever truly blackballed from the wrestling business, and it's sad. But honestly, anybody who had a direct connection to this situation and did anything to intentionally egg this man on and provoke him into doing what he did is just as responsible. Well, and hopefully that will come out, and hopefully they will also, if at the very least, lose their job with this promotion, at the very least. But they shouldn't be let off the hook either.
You have to wonder how much of an impact Rampage has on his son, and how hard he is on his son to become, have a fruitful career in MMA, which is all but over now. It's finished. His career is finished before he even starts. It looks like he has a tough upbringing. It's hard. You see that he's trying to possibly make his father proud. How he went about it, obviously, it may land him in jail, and rightfully so. I don't know how stable of a mind he is. He obviously needs to go seek help. If he was so convinced by his chat on Kick to go do this horrible thing to another human being.
But that's the internet, dude.
And my point is, these in real life streamers, we've seen it not only with this, but like others. It's a genre I just don't understand. It's not our fucking thing. I'll tell you that for sure. We're two old dudes here who are in a different time period. These in real life streamers, bro, I don't know what it is that young people are gravitating towards, man. They are more harmful than anything I've seen on the internet, man. They just go out there and do these risque things and act cool and do these stunts, and everybody just flocks to go watch these people. And then they try to emulate them. Like, this is who you want to grow up and be like, this fucking clown?
But what's not even that though? Like these, like you say, in real life streamers and what they're reading and what they're reacting to when people are trying to egg them on is anything but real life.
No,
It's
I know.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. They're just because they're not in a position where if God forbid something happens that they're responsible, right? Even though they kind of are. But like, sure, they're going to talk shit and they're going to be like, oh yeah, you got to do something, man. Like, so what did you think is a powder keg that's just waiting to explode? Like, what did you think was going to happen here? So that didn't help because he's sitting there and he's on video in the front row. And again, he's just looking at his phone and he's scrolling and he's scrolling and he's seeing all this stuff. And it just added to the situation. But it's a pretty open and shut thing as I see it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just waiting to find out how stiff the punishment is going to be. If anybody else is going to get roped into this as some sort of accessory, which they very well may be, because there's a lot of people who frankly fed into this and bear responsibility for what happened here. And hopefully Stu, I know they set up a GoFundMe for him, and I know that they've already hit the initial goal. They raised the goal.
Yep.
He's in rough shape. So is he going to wrestle again? I mean, that's not even right now. The only question is just, can he just live a normal fucking life?
Yeah.
Because what you see on that video, the fact that he survived it, he's very lucky and very fortunate, hopefully without brain damage or anything like that. So it's nice to see that people have come out to support, including some wrestlers. So that's nice to see.
Chris Jericho donated $2,500. Mr. Beast donated $10,000, and he tweeted, he's like, "Damn man, this hurts to see, especially because I read he was a veteran that used wrestling as an outlet to get over PTSD. Genuinely, if anyone connected to him knows of a way I can help, please reach out. If his kid is a fan or I can help with hospital bills, please let me know." So that's fucking awesome that you got guys like that coming out who, you wouldn't think are in the pro wrestling space just fucking.
No, he's not. He's not. He's not in the space. But he said he saw the story because it made national headlines, and he was appalled, just like every normal human being would be appalled by what they saw in that video, and their first reaction wouldn't be to jump to this guy's defense in any way, shape, or form. So good on him because he thought what everybody else thought. Man, this is just fucking awful. But yeah, I mean, to go back to your point about these people that just stream, and I guess Rampage does too. I feel like they're streaming 24/7. Rampage was streaming, by the way, when he got the news about what his son had done.
Yeah.
So his reaction is on video in real time as he's being shown the video.
Well, he also fabricated a lot of what he said too. He's like, "Yeah, my son was hit with a beer can, and then moments later he went into the ring and did what he did." Like, no, motherfucker, it wasn't a moments later. It happened earlier in the fucking day, and your kid sat with it all day, and then attempted to fucking go kill this guy as he sat with it all day. That's what he did
because he didn't know, and people were feeding him. People were feeding him information, and so that's how it ended up. Look, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if the ultimate trigger here was the fact that he got hit with a beer can in the head. Probably live on his stream, and he was embarrassed. And then people egged him on and egged him. Yeah, and people. So again, it just goes to show you like how fucking awful and how sideways these live streams can go. I mean, honestly, this was maybe a month ago. I don't know if you heard about that story about the couple that got gunned down in Las Vegas while they were streaming.
Yes, I watched. Yeah. I saw the video of it as it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and people are watching this live and they're reacting to it in the chat. It's like, it's just awful. Like the shit that goes on is just, it's awful. And it just provokes people into doing things that in any other real life situation, if they weren't broadcasting in real time, they probably, and some people might be unstable, they might, but a lot of people wouldn't react in the ways that they react in because they feel like they have to. So I wouldn't be surprised if that played a role in this either. He felt like, his ego was bruised. I gotta prove that I'm a man. I gotta respond. And the guy told me it's okay. I can give a receipt.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll give a receipt, whatever that means. That's what I mean. Like, why would you even say something like that to somebody who you haven't really smartened up?
That AJ Mana is as complicit in this as anybody else, bro. Never mind the fucking company.
Oh, he's the one who brought him to the show.
Yeah.
I believe he's the one who invited him to the show in the first place. Ridiculous. You would think if he was going to invite him to the show and wanted him to do something on the show, that he would at least have enough common sense to smarten him up to the whole situation. And instead, he just egged him on, and provoked him and said, "Oh, yeah. But I was in character when I made those comments."
Sure thing, bro. I wouldn't allow you in a fucking building ever again in a pro wrestling space. No. The one thing I hope that does not happen here is because of Rampage star status, who he is, and the money that he has, he gets his son out of this, and there's no repercussions and there's no consequences for his actions. I hope that they go to the fullest extent. He belongs behind bars. Someone like that, live streaming with that type of unstable mentality, walking the streets among us normal people, is not someone that I ever want to encounter, nor should anybody else. He belongs behind bars. And I truly hope from Jason and I that Stu, hopefully, never mind, like Jason said, pro wrestling is the last thing on his mind. I hope from both of us that he gets back and he really just is able to live a fruitful, normal life after what happened. Because I still have the visions of watching that fucking video at 7:30 in the morning on Sunday. Fucking awful, disgraceful. Everybody involved should be disgraced. And we wish Stu nothing but the best, honestly.
Yeah, and again, just think if it was a wrestling match on like a live pay-per-view and a fan had jumped the barricade, the fan probably wouldn't even make it into the ring to attack this guy before the other wrestlers would tackle them to the ground. Because your instinct is you protect your own, right? You're all part of this fraternity. You're all part of this family. And if somebody from the outside who doesn't belong there is threatening you or coming after you in some way, right? You neutralize the threat and you tackle them to the ground. And just that visual of him not only getting into the ring and, okay, maybe it started as an angle, but then he doing what he's doing, and everybody just stands there watching. It felt like, I mean, it wasn't that long, but it was long enough. It felt like forever.
Yeah.
And it was just a very, very scary, disgusting situation.
So that's the story on that. We'll keep you guys posted, as right now the LAPD are launching an investigation. We don't know what's going to come out of that. We'll fill you guys in, I'm sure, on our individual platforms and right here on TNT when that news becomes available. We got Clash in Paris, and we got some minor news and notes here. We'll start with this before we get into Clash in Paris, and then we'll get into your super chats. Jake Hager was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast. I listened to a good chunk of it, at least 45 minutes. The only notable thing is what everybody was talking about today when he basically told Tony Khan to go fuck himself. So he was on Chris Van Vliet. I told Jason in the sound check, I'm like, of all the fucking guests to have on, that's quite the guest, man. You're running out of guests over there, Chris. I don't know what's going on. But he said things about Tony Khan, and it made the news today. So he says this in regards to describing a boys-only meeting led by veterans like Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley that was interrupted by an angry Tony Khan. He also said he's very jaded about the way he left the company, which I'm sure nobody there misses him. He wasn't a professional. After all the punk shit that went down, the boys got together and we had a meeting. And this was the boys only, no office. We're sitting there, Sting is there, Show is there, Big Show, Jericho, Bryan, Mox, they're all standing at the front, kind of like talking us through this shit. And lo and behold, who comes into the room, storming in? Daddy's little billionaire. And he's like yelling at us. We're all feeling disrespected. And I still to this day wish I would have stood up and said, you know, a lot of things, but you just told Sting that you're going to put him in a 6-man tag 6 minutes from the top of the show, and then you're going to honor him for his retirement. We became his little playthings. Hager went on to express his frustration with what he saw as Khan's inability to take constructive criticism from veteran talent. He believes his management style led to a decline in his own passion for the business. We had to wait outside his office. His storylines were very good at debuting, but he could never carry through with anything, which I absolutely agree with. And then got to the point where I'm carrying on, but it got to a point where you couldn't tell him anything. You couldn't take criticism, or he couldn't take criticism. He was fucking up, and we're all just having to deal with it. Like, we had blood and guts, and we put a blood, sweat, and tears into that company. He was a part of the first blood and guts match. He was talking about the blood and guts match and why Tony only gave him a small contract instead of the contract he wanted. We were there at the beginning. Like, we had our careers behind us that helped build this company, and we all had to just sit side by side and couldn't do anything because he wanted to run the company the way he wanted to run the company. So it was at that point where he mentioned FTR being a part of this meeting, and he said FTR told everybody that they weren't coming to work because they weren't happy with the creative on that night. Dax took to social media, which I'm not surprised, and responded directly to Hager's claims, refuting the story, saying Cash and I were at the talent meeting that was called by Bryan, Jericho, and Mox. Tony never interrupted. Cash and I never refused to show up to work, and I dare say, if you look at our schedule since Collision started, we're the most consistent talent that make both shows every week. I'm not really sure where all of this is coming from, but it's mostly not true. Cash, on the other hand, he was quick to take a screenshot of Jake Hager's texts personally to his cell phone and basically out Hager by saying, yeah, you said we were part of the meeting. We were never there. And then Hager made excuses to say that he thought FTR was there, but he tried to run in circles about what he said on Chris Van Vliet.
Maybe it was the Outrunners back then. It looked like FTR. He just mistook them for FTR.
I don't know, bro. This is all comedy. The only thing I could say in regards to this is why this is even fucking news. First of all, I'm not even surprised that FTR got involved here because of all the things that they usually do to go and defend Tony Khan. But there's really nothing here that's pertinent to the fucking current AEW, bro. This is all things that happened when Punk was there and when Punk got fired. Like, why are we going back and retreading old shit that doesn't even matter anymore? Like, what is the big deal here? Like, does Tony have a lot of money? Sure. Does Tony run the company in his own way and people don't agree with that? Absolutely. Does he use things as the talent as play toys? That's a common thing in the community. Sure. But what do you take away from this, and why is this news today?
Well, I take away from this that he's very upset that Tony Khan didn't see the great value in Jake Hager, which, I mean, I can't believe that Tony Khan missed the boat, on Jake Hager. I mean, his hat was more over than he was. So, I mean, when he had that hat, the hat was over. And the hat was going to work for a while, just like Daniel Garcia had his funny dance, and that was going to work for a while. But at some point, it stops working. And, you've got to rely on your talent and hopefully some good ideas from creative as well. Hager had a ceiling in this company. Hager came into the company, if you remember, on that very first Dynamite. He was the big debut.
All right. He said so, yeah.
Yeah, he was the big debut there at the end of the show. He joined the Inner Circle, and that was a great spot for him to be in, standing behind Jericho. And that was as far as he was going to get in this company. For all the years that WWE had him, and they talked about him being having the potential to be this great big star, and they put the World Heavyweight Championship on him. He had the personality and charisma of a doorknob, and so he was only going to go so. I'm sorry, but like that he did, and so he was only going to go so far. He was never going to be like a top guy in the company. He had his role in AEW. And then he became disillusioned over time, as many wrestlers do. They become disillusioned in their role. They think they could do more. They think they could be better. Some can. And God knows we call Tony Khan and WWE out for that shit when you have a real talented person who could be here and they're stuck here and you're frustrated for them. Jake Hager was lucky, I think, to be in AEW, frankly, in the role he was in for as long as he was. And he's upset that things didn't work out for him there. I don't know what else he was expecting. I don't know what he envisioned his role being in that company. For all we know, he was pitching all kinds of ideas that could have been horrible. I don't know. And I want to watch the full interview to get his perspective on some other things. Maybe that will help kind of fill in some of the blanks here, because I only saw the key clips of the AEW stuff. I know we talked about his days in WWE as well, so I'll watch the full thing.
He said John Cena didn't want to put him over in 2010 for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, so I heard about that as well. He talked about when he was the world champion and he beat Chris Jericho to win the world heavyweight title. I think I was actually there when he lost the world championship. Didn't he lose it to Rey Mysterio at that fatal four-way pay-per-view? One fatal four-way pay-per-view they did in 2010. It was a very short run. I think he had the belt for like 2 months.
Maybe. I can't really tell you for sure.
Because I know this is going to be shocking, but like he didn't light the world on fire. As the world champion. So
bro, the best thing that he's ever done is his tag team with Claudio, with Cesaro. We the people. That's it. That's the highest he's been to me.
Well, in WWE. And so in AEW, it was standing behind Jericho as part of the Inner Circle. That's it. You had your time. He was there for a few years. And at that point, nobody was begging to see more Jake Hager. I mean, they were stockpiled with talent in this company that people were hoping to see more so than Jake Hager. He had a role. He filled it. He was fine. He had the hat. The hat was over for a while. C'est la vie.
The optics of it are Jake Hager said some bad things about AEW, and the first people to come waving the Tony Khan AEW flag are FTR. Like,
yeah, but he named FTR. But to be fair to FTR, he named FTR
Sure.
and he was wrong.
Sure. Well, we don't really know, but FTR usually comes to the defense of Tony Khan no matter what. So we don't know if they're telling the truth in this case. They could be lying
What
too.
do you mean you don't really know? We have an actual text thread where Hager apologizes and said, I thought it was you guys.
I don't trust that.
He admitted that he was wrong. So all of a sudden it calls into question everything he even said in that clip to begin with.
I take everything Dak says with a grain of salt, bro. By the way,
if somebody said, if he did an interview with Chris Van Vliet and said, I could tell you about this meeting, and JD from New York, he came barging into the meeting and he started shouting horrible, mean things at Tony Khan. And you have no idea what this guy is talking about. You would have a tweet out so fast, man, there would be a fucking cloud behind you.
You know me pretty well. Yeah, yes, that's the case. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I can understand them wanting to kind of get ahead of this before it spiraled out of control.
By the way,
even Wheeler, we never see Wheeler, I think, hardly ever posting on social media. So that tells you something.
On a normal situation, it's very hard to believe anything Dak says because he's always there, right in front of the line. He's the first kid in classroom sitting in the first row. He's raising his hand.
Well, but Wheeler also was like, all right, I'm gonna speak my piece because this is just bullshit here.
By the way, Swerve had the best reply. All he did was tweet out a picture of Kenny Omega, and a lot of people were asking what the context of this picture was. Apparently, back in the day, jokingly, apparently, but maybe not, Kenny said that he told the AEW roster that if he was in charge, he wouldn't have hired at least 80% of them. So that's what he had to say about this Jake Hager situation, which still rings true today.
Which I remember that. And that is quite the comment to make to the roster. Like,
yes.
You stand up in front of the roster and go, if I were in charge, I'd say 2/3 of this room, you wouldn't even be sitting here right now. Like, that doesn't exactly instill a lot of morale in your roster. So, yeah, that was a little questionable.
That was in the news today. If you guys want to go see that for any reason, it is up on Chris's YouTube channel. We have Clash in Paris coming up on Sunday at 2 p.m., not 3 p.m.
You buried the lead.
What was the lead?
You buried the headline of the interview, which is that he's retired from wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I'm
running his own.
I'm heartbroken, bro. You couldn't tell?
He's running his own trucking company, so he has completely gotten out of the wrestling game. He was so disillusioned. Tony Khan chased him away from the wrestling business, and so we should throw a party for Tony Khan.
He's retired from MMA too. He's not MMA anymore.
I think he might have been undefeated. I think he had
he mentioned that very vehemently. I'm undefeated.
Yeah. So maybe he's upset because he thought Tony Khan was going to push him more, and so he put his MMA career on the side, and then Tony ended up not doing anything with him, and he feels like he got cheated out of some MMA paydays maybe.
Could be. I don't know what Tony was paying him, but that could be a possibility.
He said Tony was paying him well. I think he said that in the interview. Sure, I don't think he was complaining about what he was being paid. He was just complaining about, having visions of, God only knows what kind of visions he was having of what his role could have been.
Who knows what Tony's paying? Apparently, it's very well. Clash in Paris, 2 p.m. start time on Sunday, not 3 like I thought it was. They moved this up by 1 hour. It's 2 p.m., which, it is what it is.
Which is also the start time for Raw next Monday. Because they're in Paris for Raw as well.
Oh, okay. Another afternoon Raw. I can't wait to go back to normal here.
Yeah, so instead of 3 o'clock, Raw will be a 2 p.m. start time on Monday.
Clash in Paris is Sunday. This is the last show on Peacock in the Peacock era for PLEs. NXT will be exclusive to Peacock, as will Saturday night's main event. It is no longer on NBC. So if you guys want to keep your Peacock subscriptions, if you're a fan of NXT, the PLEs will be there. And that is the only way you'll be able to see John Cena's retirement on December 13th, Saturday night's main event, which apparently WrestleVotes is going to give us a hint or a clue. News is going to be broken on where that will be on December 13th this week. I believe tomorrow they'll have their Sportskeeda podcast, so look out for that. Shout out to the WrestleVotes guys.
TD Garden, no?
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, TD Garden.
By the way, the best news possible. Saturday night's main event no longer on NBC.
Now, does that mean that there will not be any commercials?
I don't know that there will be no commercials, but there should not be the usual mid-match breaks on Peacock.
Okay, good. Because I can't sit through a John Cena retirement with fucking 2 commercial breaks in a 10-minute match.
I mean, if it works like every other Peacock stream does that isn't simulcast on NBC, then yeah, there should be no commercials in the middle of the matches. So that should be great news if you were worried about that for John Cena's retirement.
Well, hopefully that is the case. That would make those shows instantly better. So hopefully that is the case. Peacock is not getting the main roster PLEs. WrestlePalooza will start September 20th. They are quickly moving over to ESPN. So if you guys want to sit there and complain about the counter programming, I think Jason and I have done a very good job of telling you why the counter programming has happened. Don't know why everybody's getting bent out of shape over it. It's been happening for 4 decades now. WrestlePalooza, old ECW theme, September 20th against All Out. I'm looking forward to 2 great shows. Hopefully the competition from both really stands out. That's what I'm looking forward to as far as positives that the counter programming is happening. The ESPN deal, Jason, is only the knife digging deeper into Tony's chest here, because that's also going to steal the headlines on top of Cena and Brock Lesnar being in the main event. You mentioned that last week it would probably happen that week, which it did, and you mentioned specifically the following day, which ended up being the case. What'd you make of this news? I'm sure you're not surprised, as is nobody is not surprised here.
No, we knew the news before it even broke, because this stuff has a way of leaking out early. So WrestlePalooza, people make fun of the name. Yeah, it's a silly name, but again, ECW used it back in the day, and you mentioned that this is kind of their way probably of throwing it in Tony Khan's face, because he was a huge ECW fan back in the day. And so WWE, they really went out of their way, by the way, to get this name, because it was trademarked by another promotion.
I saw that.
So to get the name, they had to first buy it. Obviously, they had to buy it away from this other promotion, which now is no longer using the name. So they went out of their way to get the WrestlePalooza name. So there was definitely some intent there. Like, it had to be this name specifically. And yeah, I mean, we saw at the end of SmackDown that Nick Aldis was about to tell John Cena he just got off the phone with Brock Lesnar, and then before he could get it out and tell him whatever the news was, is when Cena got knocked out by Logan Paul. So one would assume the news was that Brock Lesnar is going to be coming back for a match with John Cena at WrestlePalooza, and that's going to be your actually be a double main event, because you should have Cody and Drew for the WWE Championship on that show as well. So that'll kind of be like your double main event.
Yeah, I think they're going to load up that show. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some form of Rollins and Punk, maybe somebody else involved, LA Knight. I don't know what's going to happen there with the WWE World Championship situation. We'll talk about the Stephanie Vaquer situation as well, because that got removed from Clash in Paris, and they're more than likely going to be saving that for WrestlePalooza. You mentioned John Cena and Logan Paul. This match is taking place on Sunday afternoon. I'm looking forward to it more now after Friday's segment on SmackDown. I thought that was a tremendous segment. I thought that was John Cena's best promo work all year, really. Not just as a babyface this year. I think between his heel and babyface stints this year, that was his best promo work all year. I don't think he necessarily buried Logan Paul, because he threw some fucking shots in there at Logan Paul. But I think, Jason, the reason why it works so well is because of A, the setting where they were in Dublin, and B, Logan Paul is such a fucking heat magnet that it was easy for John Cena to go out there and say the things that he said, because Logan is so good at what he does. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the punch later on, so he kind of salvaged whatever Cena had said to him in the promo. I thought it worked beautifully. It was easily the best thing on the show.
Yeah, my favorite part is when they reshot the punch at the end of the show, because the punch that I saw when I watched it earlier in the day missed by a good 6 inches. Because he wanted to protect John Cena and didn't want to really punch him in the face. But then I was made aware of the clip that when it aired on USA later in the day, you could tell it was a completely different segment, not just shot from a different angle. So they recognized, this didn't really come across the way we wanted it to. So they had to reshoot the whole thing. But the actual promo segment was the highlight of the night, on Friday. And just imagine, we could have been getting that version of John Cena for those 4 or 5 months had we not, gone through the whole, it's all your fault, you people, and, had the whole heel Cena thing healing on the fans for 4 months. But this was Cena in his element. I mean, this is when John Cena's on his A game on the mic. I mean, he's untouchable. And we saw that version of Cena on Friday night. He didn't bury Logan Paul. He was very careful at the beginning to put him over. And he even said, "You're a future WWE champion. You're a future WrestleMania main eventer." And he looked at the fans. He goes, "Guys, I think we're stuck with him." So he put him over first, and then he attacked him. And he went through all the criticisms that people have about him, and your prime stuff tastes like salt water, and you're just a YouTuber that does flips. You have no respect for what we do. You're a self-promoter. You're using us. People are angry because I'm wasting my final months with you instead of potentially wrestling people like Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles, who got a big reaction for his name being mentioned, and Seth Rollins and Jacob Fatu, and he just on and on and on. So this was not him embarrassing Roman Reigns on the microphone in 2017, which I'm sure you remember that segment. I mean, that was
pretty fucking bad.
That was very bad. It's almost hard to reconcile that's the same person we saw on TV.
I watched that segment back about 3 weeks ago, man. It was fucking just as bad now as it was then.
Like when Roman got flustered and
Yes.
forgot what he was going to say. Oh,
Yes.
Oh my God. So that was awful. Him and Austin Theory, that was a burial, okay, on the microphone. That's not what this was. And I think that's smart because what you want to do is put your opponent over as somebody who, people should look at as a star or a threat in some way. I don't know why you would want somebody to go out there and just bury him 6 feet under, because then who gives a shit about the match? So he did what he had to do in the segment and got me more interested in seeing their match now, more interested than I was before. That should be the point of this. So It worked. I liked it. I didn't like too much else about that show. So at least we had that segment. And I think, again, the less said about SmackDown, the better.
Becky's promo was good. I enjoyed Becky's promo.
That was on SmackDown was in Dublin, right? So the Becky promo at the beginning. Yeah, I mean, that was fine. But I mean, in terms of like the in-ring and everything on the show, it's just very like Raw. It's just very
blah,
uninspiring.
Yeah. Cena Logan Paul singles match. Going Cena, obviously.
Yes.
Okay. John Cena's going to beat Logan Paul.
Yeah. Cena's going to. I mean, unless Brock is making a shocking.
I could see that. That was another thing I was thinking about. I don't know if they just fly him over there for an interference, but doesn't really seem like Brock's thing to do to waste an appearance on that.
I'm going to say Cena wins.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going Cena. Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella. Singles match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Again, not much really going on here outside of last night where Becky got herself into some hot water because one Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, took notice of what Becky said about the city of Birmingham and Ozzy and the fact that he was born there. And there was a whole deal about that to a point where I don't know if this is legit or not. Meltzer put out something today on The Observer saying that WWE is embarrassed by Becky Lynch's promo and that they're readying possibly an apology, whether it's going to happen publicly or privately, readying an apology to the Osbournes.
No, they're not. They're not embarrassed by her promo. They're embarrassed that Kelly Osbourne was upset. Yes. So they feel like they have to react, and they might react. She just lost her father. I'm not in a position to tell her that she's right or wrong to feel the way she does. There was nothing that Becky said in the promo that was derogatory towards Ozzy Osbourne, so I have no issue with it. I thought it was a great line that last when she mentioned that at least he had enough sense to move to a proper city like Los Angeles.
Yeah,
typical heel stuff.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I mean there are heel promos that can step over the line. If she was bashing Ozzy Osbourne, I mean that might have been different, but that's not what she was doing here. So I had no issue with it.
Yeah, like they usually repeatedly bring up someone's relative's death or something along those lines, and they make it into such a negative, derogatory thing. That was not done here. So
no. So I mean, I can understand her feeling that way, but for me personally, I thought it was fine. I did get a kick out of Nikki Bella coming out there, and she mentioned when Becky made that comment, she was like, "Oh, yeah, Becky taking the low road and getting trashy." Nikki comes out there and the first thing out of her mouth was she called Becky Lynch a bitch, and then later on said she had no balls. And then she said all these things like pot calling the kettle black here. So that was a little hypocritical. But yeah, we got a women's match on this show. It was not the women's match that we were promised and that I was hoping to see. So that's a bummer. And apparently they have no room for more than one. So it looks like right now that's going to be the one women's match that we have on the card.
I pray that they hopefully add a 6th match here. I can't stand these 5-match PLEs. I mean, for the tickets that they're charging, I don't know how anybody there is spending the money to sit there and get less for your money. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. Becky and Nikki last night, I enjoyed the promo. I thought Nikki actually sounded a little bit more confident than she has been. I think she stood up to Becky a little bit better than we have seen. No reason to believe that she's going to win the title, but Becky is going to win and retain the championship. I'm assuming you're thinking the same thing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, except you didn't do the thing. You have to, when you talk about Nikki Bella, you have to do the thing.
Which is what?
You have to have at least one mention about how she and her sister revolutionized women's wrestling.
Sure.
It has to be said in every promo. So
they've revolutionized this current generation of women's wrestling. Okay.
There you go. Now we can move on.
Okay. Let's get into that. There's no other women's match on this show. It was supposed to be Stephanie Vicaire against Naomi. Naomi obviously relinquished the championship because she and Jimmy are welcoming a baby in 9 months. So we don't have a champion right now, Jason. And what you said last week is what I've been reiterating because that is the best way to go about it. Io was owed a match against Naomi. She didn't get her match because of the pregnancy announcement. Stephanie won the Battle Royal at Evolution. She's the #1 contender. It's easy to just do that, have them steal the night. Probably wouldn't have been the best match of the entire weekend, and just move on from there and give Io the championship again. They are not doing that because Adam Pearce, spoke to Stephanie and said that we're not going to have the match in Paris. I have an opponent in mind, but I need one more week to iron out the details. Now, I don't know exactly what that means and what they need to think about, but I mentioned 2 names here for the match that eventually will happen. One being Roxanne Perez. I don't know if that is going to be the case or not. Or number 2, I mentioned a deranged and split personality Bailey being the match against Stephanie Vicaire.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're Adam Pearce, first of all, you just had an entire week. So what the hell do you need a second week for? But okay, fine. He needs another week.
He's got to iron out those details, bro.
Got to iron out the details, right? So yes, look, I've been saying it for weeks now. Io and Stephanie, it's right there. It's right there. Two women who were owed championship matches. In the case of Io, she's a former women's world champion. You just put them in the ring one-on-one. It's very simple.
But you know why they're not doing that? Because what you talked about earlier, they don't want to beat anybody.
Well, that, and also Io's got this little soap opera story going on with the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley, and they're probably building to a tag match. So maybe they don't want to go in that direction, even though they should. So here, I don't think it's Bailey. Just because what did she do to earn the right to be in that spot? It doesn't make any sense. And this doesn't necessarily make sense either. But the fact that he was saying, I need another week. I have a person in mind. So that tells me it's not going to be a multi-woman match. I need another week to iron out the details. Could it be a situation where he is working out a deal with Nick Aldis to bring Bianca Belair to Raw? And if she's healed from the broken finger, maybe she wasn't cleared yet. If she gets cleared, would they bring Bianca to Raw to challenge Stephanie for the Women's World Championship?
Boy, we're looking to make SmackDown even worse now, huh?
I'm just saying. I mean, what does he need another week to work out and iron out the details?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's a name that makes sense with the dialogue that he gave us yesterday. I don't know.
I was thinking about it, and I said, there's still some unfinished story that they could pursue with Bianca and Jade. Jade's obviously busy with Tiffany right now. I don't know. It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Maybe it's someone from NXT. Didn't Jordan Grace lose to Blake Monroe? Maybe she gets called up.
Call up somebody from NXT in their first match as a Women's World Championship match?
Yes. She and Stephanie have history in NXT, don't they?
Yeah, but why would you do that? Why would you?
I don't know, man. What does Bianca Belair have to do with anything? I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there. Because he wants to
strengthen his roster by working out a deal with Nick Aldis to bring her over there, and maybe the creative team just doesn't have anything for her to do right now on SmackDown.
The same thing with Jordan Grace.
You know what I would do? I would probably, maybe they do a swap and I mean, they've been airing these Bailey videos on Raw. Maybe they bring Bianca to Raw and they move Bailey over to SmackDown.
I like that idea. I think that's a good idea.
Maybe they do that.
Yeah, I can
Maybe.
see that.
Oh, I got a better idea. Since Bailey is supposed to have a split personality, maybe heel Bailey can be on SmackDown and babyface Bailey can be on Raw. She could be on both.
You know, you mentioned that, man. I wouldn't be surprised that they do that, honestly.
And then they could go even further and they could take the NXT hugger Bailey and send her back to NXT and they could have her on all 3 shows.
Don't give them any ideas, man. Shawn Michaels already said that NXT is the best 2 hours of television during your week, which I think he may be on a little something if he said that, but nowhere near true.
Shawn Michaels on something? I can't believe that.
I don't know when this is going to happen. You would say next Monday in Paris is when this match takes place, or we do WrestlePalooza, because I think they're going to load up that show. And if it is any one of the names that we mentioned, especially Bianca versus Stephanie, that is quite the addition to a WrestlePalooza card going head-to-head with AEW.
Yeah, it feels like if they delayed it from Paris, it feels like a WrestlePalooza match.
Yeah, I could see it. Let's get it happening, but we need a new champion. So whether we wait 1 week or 3 weeks, we're getting a new champion.
That's right. The 3 faces of Bailey. See?
Yeah, there you go.
Look at this. Got some buy-in on the idea.
I like it. Rusev, Sheamus, good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. I'm going Rusev. I think Rusev wins this.
I'm going Sheamus.
I think at the end of it, they collectively come together, beat the respect out of each other, and then end up as a tag team.
I'm going with Sheamus.
Okay. I'm going Rusev. Did you see who attended Vince McMahon's 80th birthday party at Gotham Hall in New York City?
Yes, I did.
Oh, man. I was wondering what Bruce was doing out there, man, in my town. I don't know what's going on over there.
So who was it? It was well,
The Miz,
The Miz and Maurice.
JBL, Drew
Drew
McIntyre, Jerry Lawler,
Sheamus.
the Miz, Titus O'Neil.
R-Truth. I think R-Truth was there.
Was he?
Maybe not in the photo, but I thought I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was either invited or there. Jerry Lawler was there. Who knows? I'm sure the Undertaker was there. John
Undertaker
Cena
was there for sure, yes.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
80 years old, bro. You know? Gotta celebrate.
80.
Might not
80. Yeah.
You might not have enough of them, you know?
I wonder, if he brought any of his toys that had any of the corresponding names on them with them, like depending on like who was invited to the party, if he brought any of his wonderful toys there that he named.
I don't know, but I'm sure
talents.
Bruce was gifted some of them. I'm not surprised.
Oh my God, the party favors.
Yeah.
Little gift bags on the way out. Oh my God.
Can you imagine,
Worst
man?
gift bag ever.
Oh, God. Sheamus, Rusev. Jason's going with Sheamus. I'm going Rusev. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. I'm assuming this is for the Shula Fala. It wasn't really mentioned, but singles match here. This is the right match to be taking place here. I know Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns is the match that everybody's anticipating. Bronson Reed is the guy that is probably going to take the fall here. Does Roman get his shoes back, Jason?
I believe he does, yes. I believe Roman will get his shoes back, and the Shula Fala will probably end up being a thing of the past.
Okay. I thought that was working for Bronson Reed. So quick 1.5 month gimmick here, and then on to the next.
Got a new T-shirt.
Does
A
it?
tribal thief with a pair of sneakers on top of the text, like walking on the
Of course
text.
they do.
He wore it last night. Yeah. They're at least a lot quicker on the shirts now than they used to be. Remember the RKO out of nowhere craze?
Yeah.
And they were behind on that. I don't think it took them months to get a shirt out for that. By then, it had already played itself out.
And the last one, main event here: Seth Rollins, Punk, Uso, LA Knight, Fatal 4-Way World Championship on the line. No reason to believe that Rollins is losing this championship so quickly after cashing it in. It's more about what happens to Punk, what happens to LA Knight here. Who takes the fall? Uso or LA Knight?
LA Knight.
Okay.
I've said that from the beginning. I feel like LA Knight is in there to take the losing fall.
So what do we? If he takes the losing fall, he will probably end up blaming it on CM Punk. Do we get Punk versus LA Knight at WrestlePalooza? And if so, who does Rollins defend the title against? Roman Reigns?
Or does he?
Or does he? don't know.
Well, they have both. They don't necessarily need both championships defended on the same show. I mean, we only have one on this show. So I don't know that Rollins is guaranteed to defend the title on that show. If Knight does take if I'm right and he does take the losing fall, it's so bad because he got pinned by Braun Breaker last night. So if he then goes to Paris and takes the fall there, it's almost like, okay, you could do a match with Punk, but at that point, I don't know. Some of the shine, you've taken some of the shine off of him. But I feel like their promos, like if you put them out there live with mics and let them do dueling promos back and forth,
yeah,
I think they could light each other up pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going Jey Uso to take the pinfall. I think LA Knight. I mean, he looked like such a geek last night. I mean, he lost the match to Braun Breaker because of Rollins. Punk was about to give him a GTS. Uso super kicked him and Punk down. I mean, it was just the same old shit. Interference again on Raw.
Dorian Moore says the Fatal 4-Way will end in a disqualification.
Yes. Listen, man, how that's possible, WWE will make a fucking...
They'll find a way.
Yes.
They'll find a way. Yes.
Oh, man. So that's Clash in Paris. That is Sunday at 2 p.m. And Jason and I will be live at some point in the evening after that show is over. So 5 matches right now. Maybe they add a 6th. I don't know where this Rhea, Io, and Kabuki Warrior situation is going to come to a head. I would think maybe they do it on Sunday, but they may also save that for WrestlePalooza. We don't really know. But that is Sunday. We'll be covering it live on our channels. And then Monday Night Raw, again in Paris, 2 p.m. start time on Netflix. That is your WWE coverage. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's show, episode 109. We had upwards towards 3,700 people in here. You guys are great. Thank you very much. We're going to get into your super chats in just a second. Make sure you guys follow us on social media and YouTube. Everything you need is linked down below in the description. We got 1,100 plus likes. Thank you. And yeah, let's get it started. Super chats are open. If you guys want to chime on in, please do so. Michael with a 2. JD Jason OTS. How is everyone? Let's go. Yeah. Michael, thank you, brother. Base Beerus with a 2. Jack Swagger says F. Tony Khan. Yep. It's the most notable thing he said all 1 hour with Chris Van Vliet.
Tony Khan said F. Jake Hager and got rid of him. So they're even now.
Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. JD Solo, the best in the biz, my brothers. Hell yeah. Thank you, Boss Mo Jackson.
Thank you, Ben.
Also with a 499, he says, the state of wrestling right now is the lowest I've seen. Nothing is interesting. Both AEW and WWE suck. WWE is just slightly better. Yeah, it's pretty rough out here, man. When someone told me when JD doesn't go over 2 hours on a Monday night, it's pretty lame. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Tone C with a 30. Mons, OTS for life. I love you solo in Jacob Fatu's voice, says Tone C.
Thank you, Tone C.
Royal World with a 499. Very sorry if you lost JD. You're in my thoughts, and I hope you're doing okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I will get better with time. A little rough yesterday and today, but we'll be all right, man. Thank you. Sidro with a 2. Told my plants I love them. Now they're rooting for me. Thank you, Sidro. Nice to see you back here, bro. Edward with 48 months, 4 years as a VIP. Here's to many more. Do you think the wrestling companies need to be more careful with moments that could prove fatal, life-changing? What moments would be fatal or life-changing? We talking about Syko Stu?
Maybe we're talking about all of the crazy moves and risks.
Yeah.
Dives that people, we saw 2 of them this weekend alone.
Yeah.
One on WWE and one in AEW. So maybe that's what he's talking about. But wrestlers are always, look, everything they do is a risk. It's just that the risk factor, it feels like it keeps elevating. And it's
times. The sing-alongs are fun. The talent love it. I have no problem with the international crowds because half the time the United States crowds are fucking boring. So more sing-alongs. I don't mind it. I did have a problem, though. I don't know how you felt about it. I mean, that Roman Reigns segment with Bronson Reed, 30 minutes before we got to the opening match. Can we do something different to start the fucking show off?
What I tweeted. I mean, I said the first half of the show, man, it was just like I'm sitting here. I'm like, It's 4:00 in the afternoon, and I'm like struggling to stay awake. I'm like, what are we doing here?
What an awful feeling, man. Holy shit. Cloud Omni Strife with a new membership. Thank you, Cloud. Sidro with a 10. The doctor says, you have Tom Jones syndrome. I say, is that common? Doctor,
I don't know. I know the punchline already.
Doctor says, it's not unusual.
Not unusual. Yeah, that's good. I like that one.
And I have a friend that has a stutter, and he's getting sent to prison. I'm afraid he's not going to finish his sentence. There you go.
Who sent that one in?
Sidra.
Okay.
He had a double one there for $10.
There you go.
Zeno with a 20. JD, explain this to me, bro. I don't watch AEW. Why does Mercedes have 9 fucking titles? Does she walk out with all 9 titles? How does her entrance work? Serious question. Literally, female Thanos. Who is beating her? Zeno, she walks out with all 9. She did walk out with all 8 titles. I don't know what's going to happen because she just won this 9th title, and she had the Royal Guards in the United Kingdom come out and hold her titles for her on Sunday. So if we see her on Wednesday, I don't know who's going to be holding that 9th title. It may very well be her. Where does she put it? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Who's beating her? I don't know. I don't think anybody's beating her. I think she's going to end up giving up the titles because she can't make the dates. Boss Mo Jackson with the 199. Name your guilty pleasure movies. JD and Solo.
One of them for me is No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
Not a great movie, but I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah, there's a Ryan Reynolds movie that is a guilty pleasure of mine. What is it? It's not Just Friends. It's a Christmas movie. Is that it? Just Friends? Yeah, Just Friends is the Christmas movie. That's my guilty pleasure. Every time it's on, every holiday season, I end up watching it. Sidro with a 5. Wanted a job as a historian, but my friend said there's no future in it. And you look hurt, Mr. Nissan. Would you like a balloon? Why? It's a helium balloon. No, that one. No, neither one of those hit, bro. You look like you look hurt, Mr. Nissan. Would you like a balloon? Why? It's a helium balloon.
Yeah, to the people in the chat saying that there's an audio issue where we're fading in and out. If you refresh, it sounds like that will fix the issue.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens. That happened to me last week too. Just refresh, guys. It's not on our end. It's a YouTube thing for sure. Sidro with a 5. Cars these days have many gadgets. Try to reverse, and it plays a video of someone getting run over. And asked the electrician how to fix breaker box. He refused.
Haha. I got one that I heard the other day. I'm gonna try to top Sidro here.
Yeah.
Why do girls from Alabama not do reverse cowgirl?
Why?
Because they don't like turning their back on family.
Yes, that is.
Hold on.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Now, Sidro, you got some competition from the man himself, man. You got to step up your game. Sidro with a 5. He says, I just read that one. Boss Mo Jackson with 199. Die Hard or Terminator 2? Me? Terminator 2. I don't know what this guy thinks.
Die Hard.
Okay.
Love them both, but I got to go Die Hard.
Boss Mo Jackson with a 499. Why or what does a sorority girl do when she wakes up on Friday the 13th? Nothing. She's dead.
It's true. Jason does not like premarital sex.
Yeah, there
not
you
this
go.
Jay, the other Jason. Yeah.
The Lore Maestro, the 499. Are JD and Salamonster addressing the Jake Hager comment and then his apology? OTS and sound off separately. Now we just talked about it. He did actually rescind his comment. I think I have something here. I don't know what exactly he said, but I do have something.
Yeah, I'll be covering it because I want to see more of the interview also, but I'll be covering it on the sound off as well.
Yeah. I think he did say that they weren't there. So, I mean, he bullshitted on Chris Van Vliet. What are you going to do? Arcade the Hedgehog with a $5 super chat. Hey, JD and Solo, what twisted metal vehicle from any of the games would you guys like to drive in real life? And what wish would you guys make from Calypso? You may hate me for this, but I've never played one twisted metal game.
Yeah, I haven't either. I have no idea what any of the cars are. So, or Calypso. What Calypso is he referring to?
I don't know. Neither one of these things I know. How about we just say the one Samoa Joe drives?
Sure, that works. Doesn't he drive an ice cream truck?
I think so, yeah. Michelle Moran with a 5. As it stands now, who makes up the men's War Games teams? Whoever you're seeing feuding on Monday Night Raw.
The MFTs.
No, please. And who turns first? Cody into a heel or Seth into a face? How do you feel about MFT Wyatt 6 feud?
I think Cody goes heel before Seth goes face.
I'd like to see that. How do I feel about an MFT Wyatt 6 feud? Me personally, I've already bought a new pillow. I'm ready. Can't wait for it.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Yeah, please, no. No.
Oh, man. We may get that as soon as Friday, man. We don't know.
No. War Games.
Yeah, War Games is probably going to be... Rollins has to add 2 more guys to his team. Who that will be, I don't know.
No, I'm saying the MFTs and the Wyatts.
Oh, fuck no. Jesus Christ. Edward with a 199. What are they doing with Cutler James innuendos?
Oh, with Dark State. Yeah, have you seen these clips where every time Dark State does an interview now, apparently he's... I guess the comic relief now of the group. He always throws some kind of sexual innuendo in there.
Oh, is that how they're making that group interesting?
I guess. And then his other teammates are like, why'd you say it that way, man? Come on. You know, that's like the new shtick now that they do.
Apparently they won the tag team titles. Is that correct? They beat Hank and Tank?
Tonight?
No, at Heatwave.
I haven't seen Heatwave yet, so I don't know.
Neither have I. I haven't watched it yet, chat. Don't lynch me, please.
I've been all wrestled out.
Yeah.
These last few days.
That's what happens when you got a 5.5 hour Forbidden Door, guys. No other wrestling.
It's just there's a lot. There's a lot of wrestling.
Nate with a $5 super chat. How do you feel about heel Roxanne? I don't buy her. She still seems too sweet to be a bad guy. I love Roxanne. I think she's great. Yep. And sorry, JD, about your grandmother. Thank you, brother. Also, he says Sydney Sweeney or Mama Wayne. Sydney Sweeney, 100%. Even though Mama Wayne is definitely someone's cup of tea, I'll tell you that.
Mother Wayne is great, but Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah. Best in the world, Matt with a 5. If Tony listened to fan feedback, he would step down from creative. This is true.
That's taking it to the other extreme. So, yeah. It's not gonna happen.
Kudos to the All-American Jake Hager for saying what he needed to be said. Listen, there was some points there where I could see what he's saying is true, but the fact that he said that FTR refused a storyline or refused creative at that moment, and they outwardly just had texts ready to go, like, come on, bro.
I just have I just have it out for him after all those years ago when Kofi Kingston said that I look like him. So, still offended by this.
Boss Mo Jackson with the 199. Family Matters or Fresh Prince? Ooh, I'm going Fresh Prince.
But, oh man, I like them both. I will go Fresh Prince.
Jay Everett,
just to clarify,
yeah,
because to me, you go Fresh Prince, and you've got the sister on the show. What was her name? The sister, oh god, you know which sister I'm talking about?
The younger one or the older one?
The older one.
Yes, I know he's yeah.
Okay, so her or Urkel? Who are you going to go with?
I'm going Fresh Prince.
I rest my case.
Yes. She was definitely a looker. Jay Everington with a $5 super chat. Konosuke Takeshi should be AEW's version of Gunther, not one of 927 members of the Don Callis family. Hopefully, we start getting Takeshi to a point where he is on that another level for sure. He's one of the best in the world, no doubt about it. J.D. Ambrose with a $2 super chat. AEW doesn't need a tall cage. Most of their talent is under 6 feet. I don't know if that was intended to be a joke, but that one popped him, guys. That one got him. Oh man.
Who sent that in?
J.D. Ambrose.
You win the award.
Hillary, yes, Hillary Banks, yes. Thank you, chat. Dr. Scorpio with a $2 super chat. Wheeler Yuta is the most dangerous man in AEW. Apparently, you just give him a kendo stick, man. Forget about it. Hollywood Bug Hunter Nate, 37 months. Hey, Jason, have you heard of the Baba Yaga, the John Wick of Hornets? These things survive weeks in water, photographic memory, multiple stings, toxic venom. This guy's still laughing over the fucking
I'm still trying to recover from that drive-by that just happened here in the super chat. I don't know why it just set me off. Repeat that one again.
He says, hey, Jason, have you heard of the Baba Yaga, the John Wick of Hornets? These things survive weeks in water, photographic memory, multiple stings, toxic venom.
I am not.
I don't know, man. Jorge S with a 5. No matter what people say, he ain't a kid. Grown-ass man, mental health issues, sure. Lock him up, though, and get him the help he needs, but lock him up. I agree, Jorge. Basic with a 499. Raja is an idiot. According to Rampage himself, he knew Raja wouldn't be going to college, so he put aside bail money instead of college funds. Well, that's basically all you need to know. There you go. Sidro with a 2. I have 3 helium atoms. He. Jason's still laughing over the fucking 6 feet and under joke over here. Cizro with a 5. How does a sheep criticize its friend? By giving feedback.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
And lost the Rock's cutting tool for origami. Can't believe I lost the Rock's paper scissors.
That's his name?
That's what he said.
No, I'm saying is that his name? Lost the Rock's paper.
I lost the Rock's paper scissors. Yeah.
No, I'm saying the username.
No, Sidro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was from someone whose username was
the
Rock's origami or something. I'm like, what?
No, he's lost the Rock's cutting tool for origami. Can't believe I lost the Rock's paper scissors.
Oh, okay.
Also, Sidro with a 2. What's the coolest bone in the human body? The hip. You're failing here, bro. J.D. Ambrose got you beat, okay? Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. People don't want to admit Raja had no business being in that ring. You didn't. Best in the world, Matt with a 10. Shout out to both Chris Jericho and Mr. Beast for donating to the GoFundMe of Syko Stu. Both of them showed they are real ones. Thank you, best in the world, Matt. Definitely. Jericho's always in those type of things, though. He's always donating money to good causes. That guy Jaeger with a 5. What Raja did was absolutely disgusting. Celebrities need to be vetted before doing anything in pro wrestling. He needs to go to prison. Unacceptable.
Yes. Agreed.
Watson, if I could see it, because YouTube is just, there he is, 39 months. How y'all doing? I lost you again. I don't know what's going on here, bro. I'm back at J.D. Ambrose. Watson, there you are. How y'all doing? I was amazed by Jake's blast on TK, yet not surprised. Hashtag best in the world podcast. Cheers, guys. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
We got one here from Otato with a new membership. Thank you, man. Base Beers with the 2. Want to know what's crazy? Stu's mom was in the crowd. Was she? I did not hear anything about his mother being in the crowd, man. That is fucking awful.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either. Wow.
Base Beer says it's basically Mass Transit, episode 2025. Yeah. Basically. Illuminati with a 5. Cena definitely cooked Logan when he brought up his real life legal issues. That part was a banger. Yeah, but I think everybody everybody knows that though, and WWE doesn't really even give a shit because they allow him on TV.
Yeah, I mean,
so
he's got I think multiple lawsuits pending against him.
Leopoldo with a 10. If Cena would have been harder on Paul and easier on RR and AT, I think Paul's better equipped to taking the lashing. Since his natural abilities extend to the mic, too, I don't see him being flustered like them.
No, he's very good. He's very quick on his feet. He's one of the better promos in the company. You know, he never really stumbles. He's not timid.
No.
You know, he relishes in the reaction. So that's one of his strong suits. So, yeah, you're not going to rattle him.
Yeah, I don't think we've really, maybe in the beginning stages, but I can't remember a time where he's been flustered. When the crowd really gets animated, he knows how to navigate a reaction and get it kind of back on his side and not let the fans overtake the segment, which is something that a lot of people struggle with. Basic with a 499 Solo said he thinks R-Truth was at Vince's birthday party. Careful who you think ends up anywhere, or Dax might come for you.
Yeah, I better be... I don't know. I better be on my best behavior. I mean, I'm blocked, so I mean, I don't think you would know anyway.
I don't know, man. You're blocked. I'm not, man. Figure that one out.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I told you who I was blocked by. You would be amazed.
Learning through Jericho with a 10. I think you know who I found that recently blocked me? Matt Camp. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
I just found out yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck? I never said a fucking thing about this guy, man. It's like as soon as they get there, man, block.
Maybe he was tired of seeing all these JD clips on his timeline. Who's this JD guy I keep hearing about?
Blocking doesn't do anything. You still see it. You just can't comment. Learning tree, $10 super chat. I think Ethan Page or Ricky Starks, Saints, gets the call up at Clash, helping Rollins win. This gives the vision for people and matches up Knight, Punk, Jay, and Roman for War Games. Yeah, you know, those are the same names we've been hearing about. Ethan Page, Ricky Saints. I could see Austin Theory as well when he gets back. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to help, man. This is just fucking boring television. That guy Jaeger with a 2. Vince is really going out. He's going to outlive us all, isn't he? Yeah, he is. His mother lived to 99. Well, maybe longer. How long did she live? 100, 101?
It was right around 100.
God almighty. Learning trade with a 20. In addition to Raja, what angers me is how slow the wrestlers and referee were to react to seeing their coworker get mercilessly beat down. If one of your own is in trouble, move your ass. Absolute amateur hour. Yeah, I don't know. That must have been just them frozen in fear, bro. The referee didn't move a fucking muscle the entire time. I know some people have pointed that out and said he should never referee another match again. But thank God for Doug, man. He was there, and he jumped in. Otherwise, Stu might not be with us. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Your audio's going in and out, brothers. Yeah, just refresh. Big Haas with a 5. I hope y'all watched Heatwave. Obafemi is the future of WWE. Give him the Brock Lesnar 03 treatment. World champ in 6 months. No more gradual push BS. He's great.
Yeah, you know, I would follow the Gunther blueprint. I think that would work very well for him.
Yeah.
So, you know, you start him out, you know, kind of with a mid-card title, let him dominate, undefeated for a while, and then eventually graduate to that world championship. But he's that guy. I mean, he's got all the tools to be a huge player on that main roster.
Well, you clearly see that they have no more competition for him if Javon Evans is the latest to go after the title. So they're running out of guys quick. I don't know who's going to take that title off of him, but Ricky Saints apparently is the one next to step up. Jeff with a 10. Hey, JD, sorry for your loss. I'm sure your grandmother was the best of the best, just like her grandson. Solomon, to you and JD are on my Mount Rushmore of greatest podcasters ever. Enjoy the show, boys.
Wow.
Well, that's quite the compliment there, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
And thank you for your condolences, man. It means a lot. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's nice to have the final boss with us here on TNT. $5 super chat. What's the one common thing between Tony Khan and Raja? Over. They both got Rampage canceled.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Tenario.
I was wondering where that was going.
They both got Rampage canceled. Tenario with a $9.99. JD Solo, who are your favorite movie villains? Anton Chigurh is my favorite movie villain of all time.
I mean, I'll give you two. Keith Ledger in
Yes.
The Dark Knight. And I gotta go Alan Rickman in Die Hard, man.
You and that Die
Yeah.
Hard, man.
Yeah, Die Hard. Die Hard's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
The OG, man. No, I mean, there's been a bunch of them since then. Actually, you know what? Die Hard 3. Have you ever seen any of the Die Hard movies?
Oh, I've seen the first one.
You should see the third one. Third
that-
one's right up there with the first one. Like it's the chemistry with him and Samuel L. Jackson, and it's New York City based. That
Yeah.
one. Like so like I know all the like the sites and the different areas and stuff, and they hit Yankee Stadium and they're in Manhattan, and it's just a fun movie. It's a really fun movie.
Hannibal Lecter would also be in my top 3, yes. He's fucking, that movie was unbelievable. I loved all those movies. Chris, 37 months. I acknowledge you, JD and Solo. Been going through a mental funk. Absolutely love TNT on Tuesdays. It cures my depression. Thanks, guys, for what you do. Appreciate you, brother. Get well, man. What else do we got here? Irwin with a $4.99. Anyone infantilizing Raja is pathetic. This is no different than the kind of bullshit New Jack pulled. Some of the intellectual depth of a rain puddle. Yeah, it's sad to see people, even in my own comment section, man, just kind of defending Raja just because of who his father is and whatever, man. They turned it into a racial thing. I can't. I just block. I block and move on, man. I don't even interact with these people. For Illuminati with the $10 Super Chat. JD, is it just me, or is the current state of wrestling and the current state of Destiny sharing the same boat? Got to keep my fingers crossed for improvements in both areas. Brother, everything is down, man. Everything is down as far as interest. Cornell with a $4.99. Laughing my ass off. Wait, I thought Will Ospreay was over 6 feet. I thought he was too.
It's probably right around there.
5'10", 5'11", maybe?
5'11" or maybe 6. He might be 6 feet.
Leopoldo with a 5. Monet is going to topple over soon with those 45 belts. Wardlow should leave Don Callis and become her belt holder and enforcer. At least he'd have something to do.
The new Camille.
Yeah. Then he gets out of line and he's banished to fucking Guantanamo Bay again for a 4th time. And Dr. Scorpio will end with this one. Better Mario character, Todd the Toad or Yoshi? Hashtag no Yoshi slander.
Yeah. Somebody on the stream last night, they were super chatting something about Mario characters, what's my favorite, and somebody misspelled Toad and they said Todd, and I was like, what do you I'm like, is that Toad's name? And this became a thing now where like it's Todd the Toad. So what was the question again? What was the question
Better
again?
Mario character, Todd the Toad or Yoshi?
I said like in Mario Kart, I go faster if I pick Toad.
Toad is my favorite.
So I have to go Toad.
I can't play as the bigger characters. I can't play as Bowser or Donkey Kong, man. It's
I
either
even have a I don't know where it is. I have like a Toad plushie that I had gotten from the Nintendo store in Manhattan many years ago.
Oh, where's mine? I got mine somewhere. I got I got the mushroom head I bought from the same place.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you guys for a great episode 109, man. Lots of good discussion here. Great time as always. We'll see you back next week. As always, before we get out of here, I'm going to let this guy sound us off for another great Tuesday here on TNT.
I just want to say, thank you for all of the support. TNT rolling on here, episode 109. I will point out, for those of you who maybe didn't see it when it aired a few months ago, Vice posted the entire Dark Side of the Ring episode on Daphne on their YouTube channel. So it's a powerful episode. It's a sad episode, although it's kind of an uplifting ending in a weird way. But it also ends with a very important message, which is that if anybody out there is struggling in any way and needs help, that there are people out there who are willing to talk and willing to help, which I think is a good message to communicate. And so if you never saw the episode, it's worth going out of your way to see.
I agree. Leopoldo, thank you for the late $5 sandwich. I love Ledger, but Anton edges everybody out with that quarter flip scene and that crazy cattle gun. Love you guys, and my heart is with you, JD. Glad to see you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. That was a fantastic movie. No Country for Old Men. One of my favorite movies of all time, brother. Guys, we will see you next week with episode 110. And we'll have a Clash in Paris breakdown. And we'll see you guys on our respective channels. Sunday, we will both be covering the show. Hopefully you guys join us then. And we'll see you next week right here on TNT, episode 110. See you guys later.